to that. But while we are waiting for the media people to project what we do in Winbox, Winbox is a human capital. All right, thank you very much. All right, so this is who we are in Winbox on a slide. We are a human capital development. We are into training, into therapy, coaching, executive coaching as well. We have one of our best-selling product or arm of the unit, which is the Employee Assistance Program. Employee Assistance Program is like I usually liken it to HMO. You know, a lot of us are at work. When we are sick, we go for medical clinics, and our behavioral research and psychometry Winbox. And thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, can we put our hands together for Wale Bello? Thank you so much for that beautiful one. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to specially acknowledge our discussants here today. And it would be nice for us to please put our hands together for them when I mention their names. Ladies and gentlemen, very, very distinguished guests we have in our midst. A very brilliant personality who is well trained in the areas of trauma and therapy. Please put your hands together for Madam Joy Igbodike. Thank you very much, ma. We acknowledge your presence. Also in our midst, ladies and gentlemen, is Engineer Johnson Ogbum. Please put your hands together for him. He's going to be sharing insights today. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, we have Mommy Pastor Omomi Agumbiade. Please put your hands together for her. She's also going to join us here. We have our guest artists that are going to also minister as we proceed. We have Minister Jerry Omoli and the saxophone hub. Thank you very much. We celebrate you. And of course, we have Minister Fumi Oloyede. She's going to be giving us music also as we continue. We want to acknowledge and celebrate all the pastors in our midst. We acknowledge you. We celebrate you. We do not take your presence for granted. Can we put our hands together for our fathers and mothers in the Lord? Thank you very, very much. We acknowledge and celebrate you. We also like to acknowledge and celebrate all organizational heads in our midst. And all organizational heads here present, please put your hands together for them as we acknowledge you specially. We also want to acknowledge all the coaches and the counselors here present. Thank you very much for coming. Can we please put our hands together for them? And we also want to acknowledge and celebrate every one of you seated here today. Please put your hands together for yourself. Thank you so much. Healing is a journey, and the process is different from person to person. But at this time, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to listen to the convener of this conference with the theme From Scars to Stars. Ladies and gentlemen, is a distinguished Nigerian who has dedicated years to helping people navigate the terrain of trauma. A number of people have experienced various traumatic experiences that have affected them in one, committed himself to taking people through the healing process, through the Winbox platform. To that effect, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to listen to the convener, a man who is passionate about people, a man who is passionate about the minds of people, a man who has helped people find their purpose and path in life, and a man who has saved so many organizations from crashing. Please put your hands together as I invite and welcome Dr. Osasono as he comes forward at this time to give his speech on the journey to healing. Can we celebrate him, ladies and gentlemen?
Thank you, the superstar Damola. Thank you, everyone. If you're excited to be here, can I see you wave your hands? I wanted to say wave your hands to Jesus. Well, some people may not be that inspired by wave your hand to Jesus, but that's not to relegate that anyway. So let me switch. Wave your hand to some dollars that will enter your account very soon. What about pounds? Some people are waving two hands at the back. All right. Okay, thank you those of you that came in early. We don't believe in Africa time, so we started exactly 3. Others will be joining. I'm aware others are joining online also. We go straight to why we are here. HealingFest Lagos 2024 is a trauma therapy conference. Let me quickly share something with you this. It will be interesting for all of you to know what led to this. January this year, I've been having a nudge in my spirit. Perhaps spiritual, perhaps based on the realities in our society. So we have our lines, our public lines in the office that people call when they have issues, psychological issues, essentially, or behavioral issues. Then we also have our EAP lines for organizations that are retained with us. So for EAP, no issue, because when the employees of the organizations call, it's already paid for by the organization, so it's free to the employee, no issue. But you see the public one, the public lines, the 2 lines, when people call, the challenge we found is this: majority of people that call are the ones that really need coaching, counseling, and therapy. Well, fortunately, they can't afford it. In fact, I dare say more than 90% from marital relationship crisis. And these are the top 3 issues: mental health issues, marital relationship issues, then marketplace success. Marketplace success all around money or making progress in your business or career. The second thing that I found out based on realities is that those ones that eventually pay and come for session or from the EAP that the organizations pay for, I discovered that a lot of times what people are ascribing to the devil or village people or even demons or stepmother or Nigeria government, a lot of times have a lot to do with behavioral issues. And those behavioral issues are a common factor. They are behavioral issues that resulted from unhealed trauma in our lives. And you're going to understand what this unhealed trauma is all about. I'm going to be speaking for only 45 minutes. Then we're going to have a fireside chat to make it more practical. All right? Unhealed trauma. And can I have my slide, the next slide? My slide, please. Unhealed trauma. And it dawned on me that if care is not taken, if it's only those that can afford that will be able to help, then wahala go gas for this country. There's no way. So a lot of behavioral issues is seen in our society, from all manners of substance abuse, and daddies and mommies, brothers and sisters. We have a real issue with substance abuse in Nigeria. We have serious one. You can't even imagine a lot of things that they take. And I'm not talking of the old ones only, even the young ones, down to primary school. You'll be wondering where are they getting money to buy it. They don't need money. There are substances you don't need money to get that they are abusing that has influence on the brain. I won't name them because I don't believe it's everybody that is mature to handle that. So I won't name them. But interesting thing is that a couple of months ago, that's 2 months ago. So all this that you are seeing was initiated and organized under 2 months or thereabout. Now, in April, I had an encounter, and that's what made me succumb. That let's do this. Whatever way we can do it, let's do this regardless of the cost. And luckily, we have a couple of our partners that come in. And that's why we are. Now, I want you to look at the screen. I need, can I get 1 or 2 mics for the audience? 1 or 2 mics for the audience. Please go back. The image, yes. Oh, no, the image. Okay, I want one person here, preferably a man or a woman. Then another person here that will be the opposite sex of whoever answers here. All right? What do you think is happening here? Feel free to raise your hand. This will help us enter into the real issue, right? You raise your hand? Okay. Okay, one person is representing your constituency already. Constituency B or 2. Anybody representing your political constituency? Or else we will move your votes to another constituency. Oh, that's a guy also. No, we have a guy here already. We need a lady now. Okay, we have a lady at the back. So where is the mic, please? Let's pass the mic. Ushers. Please raise your hand, my brother. Okay. Okay, there's one here. Can we have an extra one? Thank you. Okay, so the lady at the back there, so let's start with you. That's for him. Yeah, let's start with you. Huh? You want the ladies first? You're a gentleman, right? All right. So he said ladies first, right? So hold the mic, then let's start with the lady. Quickly, what do you think is happening on the screen?
Good afternoon, everyone. So from the picture I see, the brain is actually telling the heart to have sense.
I like that. Yes. That's all you see there, right?
Yes. The brain is actually trying to keep the heart from doing something foolish, stupid, or just...
So what does the heart represent? What does the brain represent?
Okay, the heart represents us.
Then the brain represents?
Our minds or society.
Okay.
Put it together.
All right. Thank you so much. You tried. Thank you. Please, a round of applause for her. Thank you. Over to you, my brother.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
All right. So from the illustration, we can see that the art wants a lot of things. It desires to want to try again, wants to do another thing that it has done before. But the brain or our mind is saying, the last time you did this, this was what happened, and it's creating like a barrier for us to try to reach out again or do something better than the last time. Thank you.
Yeah, professor. This is a round of applause for him. Thank you. They are both right in a way, but let me explain why I put this there. There were intense emotions that you and I experienced while growing up. There were intense emotions, distasteful emotions that you and I experienced. That time that you went to your father for maybe a particular amount of money and your father or your mother shouted at you, like, do you think money they grow from my backyard? You experienced some intense emotions. That time that you wanted to raise a suggestion in the house and they shut you down, you experienced some intense emotions. That time in primary school, secondary school, when your best friend betrayed you, you shared a secret about your life with him or her. And he went and shared it with other people. And on the assembly, it became a talk of the school. You experienced some intense emotions. Or you can call it trauma. That time, for some of us, when you lost one of your parents, at a tender age, or while you are about to enter a university, you experience some intense emotions. Some of us is poverty. Some of us is rejection. You grew up not knowing your parents, or maybe your mother or your father. In fact, the story you heard that your father didn't accept you, even though your mom told you a different story. But later on, you got to know that your father rejected you. Some of us, it's not even what we experience. Not be we, they experience now another person, but you witnessed it. And by witnessing it, you experience some intense emotions also. You could have witnessed a husband and wife that were always at fight. Mother in that house to a punching bag. It's not in your house that it's happening, but you experienced, you witnessed it. Certain emotions were evoking you, whether you realize it or not. Now, those intense emotions you experience, when they said no repeatedly to you, some of us is jam. You did jam like 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Jam just they jam you anyhow. Or you even passed jam, but USs were rejecting you. Some of us is at job interview level. You were rejected severally. You were rejected severally. And some of us, if you grew up in this kind of environment, Nigeria, where there is, or especially in an area where there is a lot of violence and crime, you don't have to experience it, even witnessing it alone. For example, I was saying to some people at a church that I went to speak 3 weeks ago, I said, we must guard our hearts with all diligence, not even diligence only, due diligence. Especially if you are growing up in Nigeria. It doesn't matter your age. With all this terrorism, banditry, kidnapping. Because this is what it's doing to you. The human mind, it doesn't matter whether you are the one experiencing that trauma. As long as you are witnessing it, and you are forming a meaning, or giving a meaning to it in your head, it doesn't matter to your brain. Your mind does not differentiate between what is happening in reality or to others and what you are just witnessing or imagining in your head. It registers it in the same way. If you have ever had a dream or a nightmare, God forbid, that something dangerous is chasing you in that dream. Let's say a masquerade with cutlass. It's chasing you. And in that dream, you are running for your dear life, panting heavily and sweating profusely. In the dream, if you suddenly wake up, you will start sweating in real life. You will be sweating in real life rather, not you start. And you will be panting heavily. Because your brain does not differentiate between what is happening in reality and what you are just imagining. So, with all the kidnappings, banditry, terrorism, there is a level of trauma that is happening to you and I if you have not learned how to guard your heart or your mind. So, there's no person here that one way or the other you will not have experienced these traumatic emotions. Maybe a few. In fact, the latest statistics say that about 80% of Nigerians have gone through one form of trauma or the other. About 80%. Meaning that if there are 10 people at this row, most likely 8 of them have gone through one form of trauma or the other. And if you don't learn to get the reasoning part of you, this Mr. Man, but there's a reasoning part of you. There's the way you reason about the emotions you experience when you lost your parents. There's the way you reason or give meaning to what happened to you when you failed in the first 3 businesses you tried. There's a way you give meaning to marriage because of what happened between your father and mother that led to their divorce or separation. Now, the meaning you are giving to all these things have a way of shaping your brain and thus your attitude in life. If you have not mastered the way you are giving meaning so that you can be in charge of your emotions. Now, the problem with emotions, your heart represents your emotions. The problem with emotion is this, can be unreasonable. It can push you to develop some coping mechanisms, some behaviors that it will help you to survive when you were dealing with that loss, that betrayal, that failure, that rejection, that invalidation by your parents. Abuse, physical abuse, emotional abuse, verbal abuse. You grew up hearing all manners of vulgar words by your mother. I worked with a young lady earlier this year. I couldn't believe what I was hearing from her, from what she experienced in the house of her mother. I started doubting in my mind. Are we sure this mother really give birth to this girl? She's so scared of her mother, a 20-something-year-old woman. She became a shadow of herself, despite being the firstborn. She cannot look into the faces of her younger ones. Why? For the fear of making mistake. Because her mother, while growing up, will descend on her. If she says anything wrong to the younger ones, the mother hated her with passion. And that affected her. So we all have one form of trauma or the other. And the care is not taken. There is a way we learned to cope against them. Please, next slide. There's a way we learned to cope against them to survive. The poverty you grew up with, thank God for your life now. Poverty, you don't blow. Poverty don't come up for your life. But the residual impact of it, have you dealt with it? Some people, the behavior that manifests as emotions from poverty when growing up is greed. They will steal and steal what their next generation cannot finish. If you have any political leader in your family like that, Tell him he needs to heal. He has unhealed trauma in his life that is very greedy. Or they put you in charge of something in the office and you are trying to divert half of it. You are struggling with trauma of poverty that you are yet to heal from. Or all you see in the economy of Nigeria apparently is problem. You complain more than anybody. You have been programmed to only see problem and not see opportunity. In this same country, there are foreigners coming in. Do you know that I said to somebody 2 days ago, and he said it's a lie. I said, Google it. The visa of Nigeria is one of the most. How many people are just hearing it for the first time? I went for a program. There was an American there, and he was explaining to us how it was tough for him to get a visa to come to Nigeria. And I was telling the lady there, I said, visa of Nigeria. There was a time we wanted to bring in a partner from one of the European countries. It was tough for us to get a visa for it. Because Nigeria also, bad as it be, we still get level of younger. Soup de Niger. And the foreigners are seeing it. But we, the indigenous, are not seeing it. Because we have been programmed. We are reacting to trauma. Some of us, what is affecting our marital relationship is the way we have been programmed as a result of what we saw happen between our father and mother. Let me give you a classical example. And these are all the forms of trauma that we could go through. It used to be 10 that what that organization recognized. Oh, it's cut off at the base. There's a red line at the base. There are least others. There's extreme poverty. There's social media stuff and a couple of other things that are on that I don't know why it's cut off. All right? There's this lady. This first session is all about awareness. It's called Journey to Healing. Because if you don't know where your problem is coming from, you will blame every other person except yourself. In fact, you will blame your parents. At the age of 21, you can blame your parents. But once you cross 21, you should stop blaming your parents. I went to speak at a school, and the young man came to me and explained certain things to me, that he has a lofty business idea. That the business, he knows that it will blow. Lagosians need it. I said, so what is stopping you? He said, his network, that he doesn't have network. That had him been his father, gave birth to him in places like Ikoyi. That the quality of network he will have, that this business will have kicked off. I said, so where did your father give birth to you? I don't want to mention the name or the place, because some people may be here that live there. So I don't want to insult your constituency. So I said, do you know? I said, one statement to the man, the young man. I said, how old are you now? He said, 27. I said, do you know that in a couple of years when you get married and you have your own kids, and your situation has not changed, some years down the lane, your own children will blame you for giving back to them where you are now. Because where you are also now is not good enough. So stop blaming your parents. Where you grew up has programmed you to believe that you cannot achieve things on your own, has limited your vision. You are reacting to the trauma of that environment. So this particular lady, under 1 year, 6 months of marriage, the husband packed his things out of the house. He didn't pack his things out of the house. The man was tired. But when the man spoke with me on the phone, he said, I don't feel allow any woman to come and make me have nervous breakdown. What happened? Any discussion they have also for him, because he left. Now, the problem now gets complicated. The lady may refuse to talk to him. In the same house, when the guy comes back, may refuse to talk to him for days. Sometimes 2 days, 3 days. Real in this Lagos. So the man started getting tired. He told me, and all attempt to get her to speak to a therapist was not working, because I told the man, there's something somewhere there. She may not be able to help herself. So I asked him to do something for me. Since Mohammed will not come to Mountain, Mountain can go to Mohammed. So I said, okay, you be the therapist. Ask her some questions when she's not angry. Ask her about the kind of home she grew up in. So the guy said he has a bit of it. that is not really a good one. I said, I want to know exactly what happened between the father and mother, things that transpire. So 2 days after, this guy called me and told me that he just got some revelations from her. The lady grew up with her father always demeaning the mother. To the father, the mother knows nothing. So the mother cannot take any decision in the house. It must come from the father. If the mother raised any suggestion or opinion, the father will shout at her in the presence of the children. So the children grew up watching the father invalidating the mother. All true. So in her mind, without realizing subconsciously, she developed a mindset based on the meaning she gave to what was happening. She developed a mindset that she will never allow any man demean her or invalidate her. But the problem is this: emotions are unreasonable. Even when the guy, her husband, is just genuinely trying to checkmate her in the business she wants to start, the meaning she gives to it is that you are trying to, because you are the man, you are trying to invalidate me. The anger that she built while growing up against her father, that she couldn't do anything, she will turn it on the guy. She's there to eat. And not be say she no go regret this anger. Some minutes or 1 hour after, she will apologize to the guy. But you know, words are powerful. Some words you have said to your husband that you claim you love, it's going to be difficult for him to wash those words off his mind. The reality is this, ladies and gentlemen, is that the adversities you face growing up, especially between the ages of 0 and 17 years or so, the adversities you face, those negative challenges you face, those pressures you dealt with, have shaped your mind in a way if you are not conscious about it. And this is what I want you to do. The first exercise we are going to quickly do. Thank you. Oh, they brought the red strip. Fantastic. Now, I want you to, if you have a paper or pen, but if you have your phone, you can use your phone. Look at the first 10 ACEs. We call them adverse childhood experiences. And the other ones listed here. Identify 1 or 2. We're going to be needing them in the second session. Identify 1 quickly, or 2 that you know you really experience. Some is extreme poverty. Some is sexual abuse, and it's affecting you. Some is physical abuse. By physical abuse, I mean you say anything like this, bah, on your head. Some is verbal abuse. There's a lady that called in on Sharing Live Issue then when I was still on Sharing Live Issue. She doesn't understand what is happening to her. She has tried 6 businesses. She will try this business like this, move to another one. Try this one, move to another one. So by the time she was 31, she was trying to take a stop. There's no business that she's really doing, and she has tried 6. So when I started asking her questions, we were able to trace it to where the unhealed trauma came from. So she, being the first daughter, her mother always wanted her in the kitchen. So her mother will start cooking. We ask her to complete the soup. We go to the room. But sometimes phone distraction or whatever distraction, soup will get burnt. Mother will get angry, shout at her. Nothing that one can commit into your hand that you can complete. You can't even finish anything that you start. Not to talk of something that I start, hand over to you for you to complete. Can you even complete anything in your life? She grew up repeatedly hearing that. And unfortunately for her, she's the only daughter. The other 3 guys is the kind of home that boys don't really need to go to the kitchen. So she was the only one with her mom. And she heard that repeatedly. So I made her realize we need to track the meaning you gave to those statements you heard from your mom. How it made you, when I'm referring to meaning, how you started seeing yourself as a result of those statements your mother said to you repeatedly. And please don't hold it against your mom. I said to her, don't hold it against your mom. She said them unintentionally. Unintentionally. Perhaps that's what she learned from her mom also. That's the only way her mom also corrected her. By yelling at her, by saying those words at her. And that's how she started healing. She's running a business now that already opened, last year opened a branch in Ghana. when she called on sharing life issue, that was 2018. Her business has expanded now with a branch in Ghana, doing well now. The business has started after she healed from that. So identify one. Identify one quickly, or two, that you know is strong for you, that you experience. Some of us, we grew up with men, or fathers, or uncles, that are chronic alcoholic. They can drink urine. You didn't experience it yourself, but you witnessed it. Please don't forget that. Trauma is not about what you experience only, what you witnessed also. So identify it. Some of us is watching violence and crime on the social media. The busiest time for our EAP line ever was around that time that Lekki Toll Gate shooting, so-called shooting, happened. And people were just watching live, Instagram live, when that lady was showing it on Instagram live. People don't know that you must guard your heart with all diligence. 3 days after, EAP lines from companies that return to with us, I can't sleep. I'm having flashback of the shooting. I'm having this. Some of us, it's bereavement, a loss of a loved one. Identify. Once you have identified it, next slide, please. I hope you have identified one or two. There's a way you and I have been programmed to respond to trauma. There's a way. This first session is about awareness. There's a way you and I have been programmed to respond to trauma. Now you have identified the major adversity you perhaps experienced, and it may be the reason why you are struggling your mental health, your marital relationship, or your marketplace success. But you also must identify how you have been responding. And I will just quickly explain this because of time. But before I explain this, how many of us remember the story of Jacob? You remember the story of Jacob, how Jacob got the birthright in place of Esau? Where are the Bible scholars here? If you remember, let me be sure so that I won't have to share the story. Okay, great. You know how Jacob used, in Yoruba we call it Ogbon, Arekeke, or something like that. Just cunning way. Cunningly got the birthright of Esau. And I want to believe that's not the first time by the mother and Jacob that orchestrated that. And perhaps not the last time. To the extent that most likely, when he started having children also, the children observed that behavior. Guess what happened? His own children deceived him also. Remember? They deceived him. The 11 children deceived him. What about David? David battled lust, but failed to deal with that. And the children must have been observing him. The way he battled lust. What he did with Bathsheba and the outcome. Guess what? His sons also dealt with similar issue. Similar issue. And I can keep giving examples upon examples even in the Bible. And that's why you are here. One of the major reasons, in fact, if not the most important reasons why you must identify how you have learned to cope with certain traumas in your life is because if you don't heal from that trauma and change whatever behavioral pattern that's resulted from that trauma, you will most likely pass it on to the next generation. You will have heard statements like this: you look so much like your father, you behave so much like your father. It's real. And a lot of times, when the negative result starts rearing its ugly head in our life, we call it generational causes. A lot of the generational causes are nothing spiritual. They are behavioral patterns that we learned. Some can be genetically transmitted, but majorly by learning it while we're growing up. Your father had a pain, a psychological pain, based on how his own father treated him, and develop a behavioral pattern to cope with that trauma. You grew up seeing him behave like that. Some of us, there's a way we watch our father manifest or express an attitude towards money. Don't partner with anybody. Just because your father or your mother got a finger burnt as a result of partnership she tried once. Now, subconsciously, that is driving you. You have a business, you have been pushing and pushing it for several years. But that business needs collaboration. And now, because the business is not growing, you are blaming it on Tinubu. You know, once we don't understand what is happening in our life, we blame it on God or the devil. But once we are scared of God or scared of the devil, we shift from that and look for the political leader to blame. Meanwhile, you just needed to understand how to open up your business for collaboration. Some of us, is our attitude to risk-taking. Some people, anything that will stretch them from their comfort zone. And they grew up watching their father and mother like that also. It's time to gain awareness of where your problem is coming from. Perhaps the prayer you will be asking God or praying as the answer in what we're doing today. There are 4 major ways we all learn to respond or cope with trauma in our life. And I will quickly explain that. So when you face any of the adversities we listed earlier, some of us, our brain enters into what we call the fight mode. Please stay with me. This is key for you to get free from it or break free from it or break the cycle of some patterns in your life. Some of us, we enter into the fight mode. What does this fight mode mean? That situation that serves as an adversity or negative in our life, that evoke traumatic emotions in our life, regard it as a vulnerable situation. In the future, you have been programmed to be defensive or protect yourself aggressively against any situation that looks like that same one. So like the example of the lady I gave, she grew up watching her father demeaning her mother, invalidating her mother. So her brain entered, in reaction to that kind of trauma, entered into what we call the fight mode. In other words, defend yourself aggressively. Protect yourself aggressively against any form of invalidation or demeaning by the opposite sex. So it manifests in various forms of behaviors. Some, angry outburst. And one moment or episode of angry outburst spoiled that relationship. And they're struggling to fix it. Need for control. Some men, African men, they are on this table. Need for control. And even women. It may not even be your relationship. It may be your business. Need for controlling everything. It's only God that occupies the class of controlling everything. If you are a control freak, you will stress yourself and stress everybody that matters in your life. And most likely it's traceable to a trauma that you are here to heal from. You are in a fight mode that you need to break free from. God didn't design you to stay in that zone. He worked for you to survive the trauma. But now you are not chasing survival. You are chasing success and significance. Some of us is in an intention in our body. Some of us in the way we yell or raise our voice. Some of us is in the way we throw things. Even parenting. What about the second one? Flight mode. Some of us is in the flight mode we have found ourselves in reacting or responding to trauma. What do we mean by flight mode? This is a mode in your brain that you are trying to avoid experiencing similar situation that traumatize you. You are trying to avoid it. So the way your brain has programmed you is to do things that will help you to avoid. So if a business or a job will deliver money for you that you are looking for, but if a similar business, you experience a traumatic situation, you won't understand why you will avoid it. You will do things not to experience it. And whenever they force you into it or situation force you, you want to accept it, you enter into anxiety or panic mode. I always say to some people, yes, you are an introvert. Like me, I'm an introvert also, but I socialize a lot now. You know that you need to connect, network. I said, why am I not married at this age? Why is my business not moving forward? But you are not socializing. I said, that's who I am. I stay indoor. Are you sure your isolation is not due to a trauma you are yet to heal from? Some of us, in the flight mode, we cannot feel feelings. We cannot feel feelings. Because when we try to feel love in the past, it burnt us. So, you have learned to numb yourself to feelings. You are in the flight mode. Some of us is in part. I will quickly move to freeze. This is the most interesting part for me. So I will call freeze the most interesting part, fight the most dangerous part, flight the most secretive part, because most people don't easily realize this. Then fun, the most difficult to break free from. This one, but we're going to get. So freeze the most interesting part. This is, you are avoiding the vulnerable situation by dissociating yourself from it. How do I mean? I will give a classical example. I've met people that are indecisive. They will not be caught making any decision. When are you going to cut 10% of your salary and join this cooperative? Damola, don't worry. See, I'm just sorting out 1 or 2 things. Give me 1 month, 2 months. Now, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, he said, go, start cutting 10% out of his salary. He spends everything. You have a problem with a behavioral pattern called indecisiveness. So, if you don't have any saving in your life in the last 4 or 5 years, don't blame your salary. There's no salary that is enough. I've seen people. I've seen people that earns 12 million naira. I have a friend. Not even now, he has relocated now. He used to earn 12 million naira of 2019 per month in this Nigeria. One day, this guy was speaking on the phone while we were hanging out. And he was looking like he was taking a loan. When he now dropped the call, I asked him, what does it look like that you are doing? He said, don't worry. I shall force him. He said, he needed the urgent 8 million naira loan. And my brain couldn't wrap around it. You are on 12 million naira monthly salary. Indecisiveness. And indecisiveness is a major problem with a lot of people. Some of us is in our health. Your doctor has told you that you need to start cutting down on your intake of soft drinks or eating late at night. I will do it. I will work on it. January 1, you write down your resolution. But before that January ended, you've trashed it. Indecisiveness. 3 years ago, you decided that you got to realize that you need this certification to take your career to the next level. But this is 3 years after you have not done anything about it. You have not done anything about it. And when you are not making progress, you blame every other person except yourself. Look at this other one. Feeling stuck. That's why I said it's very interesting. A lot of Nigerians are in this state. When people tell me Nigerians are the happiest people on earth, I tell you it's not scientific. No data to back it up. Nigerians are in the state of what we call learned helplessness. A lot of Nigerians, they've learned to be helpless, otherwise known as Bakamu syndrome. So they are not excited. They are not really depressed. They just Bakamu. Amuwa Olorun. Now so God right hand. Everybody cannot be rich. If I hear people say, everybody cannot. You are feeling stuck because you have learned to be helpless. As a programming. Another one. This is the one that I will just quickly talk about. Difficulty being present. These are people that it's difficult for them, no matter what you tell them, that overthinking is killing you. Husband is not yet back home by 9 p.m. And in your brain, you have created 7 movies about where he most likely is. 7 movies, award-winning, Oscar. Overthinking. You are struggling to be present-minded. You are in a freeze mode as a result of what has happened to you in the past. Some of us as men, school fees is coming, but the school fees is still 1 month time or 2 months time. Then you lose your peace because of overthinking. What if this happens? What if this happens? What you are afraid to realize is that you are even incapacitating your brain to be able to generate options. And you know that you need to stop so that you can focus on the present. That's why it's called present. It's a gift. That's where the opportunities that will set you free are inherent. But when you are not present-minded, you are always thinking about the future or thinking about the past, you will struggle. You are in a freeze mode, and you need to break free from it. For some of us, it's fun mode. Now, fun mode are the people that the way they learn to deal with the trauma they experienced or adversity they experienced in the past is to make sure that they don't offend others again in order not to experience that same traumatic situation. So the way they learned, like that lady that I shared the story, the way she learned to respond or deal with her mother that hated her with passion is to do everything possible not to be in the same space with the mother and not to offend her. Even when she says she should go and do it, she said her mother will wake her up sometimes around 10 p.m., 10:30 p.m. as an 8-year-old girl to go and deliver something for so person. And this is dangerous. But she can, as long as if I do this thing, it will not get my mother to be mad at me. Let's just do it. But what she failed to realize is that each time she was doing that to cope against that trauma of her mother, she's programming her brain to learn to please others to the detriment of herself. That's what we call fun mode. They are people pleasers. They will lack boundaries. They lack boundaries in the workplace. They lack boundaries in their friendship. They lack boundaries in their relationship. Even in their personal life, they lack boundaries. Everything goes. Such people, they lack identity. They will just be trying all manners of career. I don't even know which career I want to follow. Try all manners of business. They have fear for conflict also. If something is looking like it's leading to conflict, they are ready to give up whatever is dear to them just to avoid the conflict. Excuse me. The good news is this: wherever you find yourself today, next slide, regardless of these 4 categories, there's help available. And yes, you can kickstart your healing at the snap of a finger like this. Doesn't mean the healing will be perfect, like I'm going to show you, but you can kickstart healing at the snap of a finger once you gain awareness. Once you gain awareness and stop blaming others. We blame others a lot. People blame all manners. I've seen somebody that blamed their firstborn. Say when the opportunity, this man believed that he's meant to stay in Nigeria. And when the opportunity came, he refused to japa. The sibling was blaming him. That if he had gone 6 years ago, they will not be suffering now. As if he gets there, money will just be falling on him. Because of time. Next slide, please. Now, look at this, so that we can quickly go to the fireside chart. Let me show you what is happening here. Something that you don't like happened to you, like the examples you have listed. In the past, just like you have a physical wound when you bruise yourself, and you have a physical wound, the same way you can have an emotional or mental wound. So, a mental wound. Now, when you have that emotional wound as a result of something that traumatized your mind or emotion, like the examples we listed earlier on, or the gamut of example, you have a wound. And in order to deal with that wound, just like in physical wounds, some of us, if you have a physical wound on your toe, if you're in the midst of people, people must stay like 2 meters away from you. Don't come close. You'll be guarding and protecting the wound because you don't want anybody to refreshing the wound. The same thing with emotional wound. So when you add that one, it could be 25 years ago, 15 years ago, and you enter into the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mode. You develop a behavior to cope against that trauma, and you repeatedly practice that behavior till it becomes a habit that you are not even questioning again. Even when it's damaging an area of your life, you are not questioning it. Guess what happens? That behavior helped you to survive then. But now that you are chasing growth in your career, building your business, building a marriage, or parenting, raising your own children, it will start affecting how people relate with you based on the behavior. And the feelings you will develop as a result of the way people are treating you or relating with you can kickstart another cycle because of how people are relating with you or the result you are not getting. Next slide, please. And this is where I will wrap it up. Because this first session is about awareness. One of the things that distinguishes therapy session with me, that I found that works faster than most other therapy, and I say this under the cover of the grace of God, is this, and I will willingly share the secret. When you come to me, and I've grown my team members to realize this also, somebody is depressed as a result of a loss of job. That loss of job is negative, no doubt. It's terrible. But it doesn't mean that loss of job is what triggered the depression. Because there's another person that lost his job and didn't get depressed. In fact, got excited. Somebody had a heartbreak. Heartbreak is negative, no doubt. But if she sinks into depression or anxiety issue, it doesn't mean it's the heartbreak that led to the depression. Somebody else had a heartbreak, didn't sink into depression. Somebody else grew up with a father that beat his mother. And he grew up to become a wife beater. It's not what he experienced growing up really that turned him into that, because there's another person that grew up with a father that beat his wife and won't turn her that way. There's a secret to this. And that's why I want to show you something there. So, wherever situation you find yourself, mental health issue you're dealing with, or marital relationship you're dealing with, or marketplace issue you're dealing with, whatever situation that you think led to it, see it as a secondary injury. There must have been a primary injury under it that allowed the secondary injury to be able to fester or grow into whatever you are dealing with now. When a man called in on our EAP line and our EAP manager referred him to me 3 years ago, as a post-COVID complication. So 2020 COVID, 2021 some companies started shedding down on their work staff or workforce strength. They started cutting down. So by January, there was a memo that was sent to the company, all the staff, that they will lay off 1/3 of their staff. Remember, just a memo. They've not laid off 1/3. This guy entered into anxiety and panic as a result of that. He will struggle to drive on Tomiland Bridge. As a result of that, he was struggling to sleep. These are the issues he was dealing with. When I spoke with him for the first time, when he narrated everything, so I started, I asked him a question, can I take you back to your childhood? He said yes. Now, the memo that they will lay off 1/3 of the workforce is a negative thing, no doubt. But the anxiety issue and the sleep issue he started having, it's not because of that, really. If I focus only on that, it will take us long to be able to help him. So when I started asking about his childhood, so I asked him, growing up, when was the first time you had any experience or you witnessed somebody losing his job? He said, Dr. OSAZ, I can never forget it. This is one of the most painful parts of my life. Say in year 1, as I entered university, I lost my father. And he said it's the loss of job that made my father die. I said, how do you mean? He said 3 years before he entered university, year 1, His father lost his job working with a federal agency. They moved from the Federal Housing Secretariat on the island to mention the location. But he regarded that place as very low. So quality of friendship he had changed. As a result of the father's job loss. He said also he witnessed the quality of food they ate in the house change. He also witnessed for the first time his father and mother started having issues. Why before they never had issues through the knowledge of the children. But as job loss came some months down the lane, they started having tension in the home. Along the way also, like 1 year after, the father started having heart issues, hypertension. And before you know it, he didn't take care of it very well. He had a stroke. It's the stroke he managed that even limited him to even get another job till the man died 3 years after he lost the job when this guy was in year 1. So I said to him, this memo that you're going to lay 1/3 of the workforce off is a secondary injury to your mind. It's not the one that is causing your problem now. But there's a primary one that we need to deal with. There's a way you have been programmed by what happened some years ago to see loss of job. And until the way you see loss of job changes, the way you are reacting now will not change. So there's a way he has been programmed to interpret loss of job by what happened to his father. So he's interpreting loss of job subconsciously, not what he's realizing. He's interpreting loss of job as a beginning of a change in quality of food for my children, beginning of a change of quality of social network for me and my children, beginning of tension in the home, and beginning of declining health and possible death. That's what triggered him into the anxiety, into the insomnia, the sleep issue. And until I was able to help him go back to change the meaning he picked from what happened, the anxiety didn't go. Some of us, the issue we are having with working with others in the workplace dates back to 20 years ago, 15 years ago. In the second session, when we enter into the inner child therapy, where we take you on a journey back to your childhood, you must be willing to visit this and go and change it. And once you can change the meaning, you get to this serious adversity that happened to you that hijack your brain, you will discover that your behavior will start changing. Your mental health will start improving. And it's real life. And it's also scriptural. For you to realize that you are dealing with some repressed, unhealed trauma in your life, if you are dealing with self-esteem issue, it's traceable most likely to an unhealed trauma in your life. And self-esteem, low self-esteem will not announce itself. Low self-esteem, I once worked with a pastor, born again is my, okay, I can't give much information. A pastor that had low self-esteem issue and he didn't realize his low self-esteem. This man has been preaching for years. By the time I met him, he was a 16-year in ministry. But before he mounts the pulpit to preach, for like 20, 30 minutes, he said, don't speak in tongues and be alone to catch power. I cannot mount the stage. So I asked him one day, what if opportunity didn't present itself for you to take 30 minutes? So you will tell them, wait, I cannot preach now. Some of us is in sales, various behavior. Some people, they struggle with focus. Some people, it's what we call black and white thinking. So because something happened to someone you knew 10 years ago, and this was the consequence 10 years ago, now it's happening to you, you are already concluding, as long as this is happening to me that happened to someone before, the consequence of what happened to that person then will also happen to me. It has not even happened, but your brain has concluded that it's coming. Between black and white, there are a lot of colors. Some people is avoidance. They start avoiding what they regard as vulnerable. Some people is substance abuse and addiction that is affecting them. Some people is mood swings. I've seen people with mood swing destroying their relationship. Some people is trust issue. Whatever the situation you find yourself today, you can heal from it. And that's the message from this side, if you can gain aware. Next slide, please. While I invite, please, can we have 4 chairs set up on the stage for our fireside chat. This is the message for this first session. Self-awareness will help you break the cycle of behavior that you're about to grow. It's good to pray, but a lot of times, God has answered our prayer. God has answered our prayer. Let's quickly move 4 chairs here. But God answered your prayer in providing opportunity for you to gain awareness. And that's why we're going to be hearing from 3 people. I specifically chose them for this reason. They will share with us. And feel free to note down your question. Remember, this is all about awareness. They will share with us how this affected them. And this is not time to be forming. You got to be realistic with yourself. Perhaps it's in your mental health you're suffering. Some of us is in marriage. And by marital relationship, I'm referring to between husband and wife, also between parents and children. Then some of us is in the marketplace. We first invite, okay, let's start with the ladies. It's just a short fireside chat that I want to ask them questions so that they can share practically what we have been talking about. The first person I will be inviting is a good friend of mine. From client, she has become my sister and a friend. She's the CEO of JB Furniture. She also owns an academy. She likes to regard our furniture business or company as the IKEA of Africa. If you know IKEA. And I've seen her grow her business from crumbs to a big project that Lagos State government recognizes now. This is no other person than Mrs. Joy Igbodike. Please a round of applause for her as she comes off stage. She'll be sharing with us essentially how some adversity she experienced growing up affected her business initially. And now she gained awareness of that. So you can sit at the left side over there. The second person I'll be inviting is our mommy here. We all know her. And she'll be sharing with us from the marital relationship perspective and even mental health. She's, I call her Mommy Lao. She's a pastor and the owner of Tender Cradle School. Join me in welcoming Pastor Moumi Agumbiade. Oh, Pastor Momi. No, come on. Sorry. Thank you. Okay, the third seat. Please, a round of applause for her. I'm skipping all the protocols of their citations because these 2 people alone, if I were to do their citation, we don't go finish for years. Schools where they don't go. The third person is the only man on this fireside chat. A gentleman to the core. Husband to a friend and a sister to me. He's an engineer by profession, works with an oil and gas company, and also a pastor. Even though he doesn't like us to refer to him as a pastor. And one of the best things I like about him is that he's a bit dance. And they always think, say I fit dance before until I met him. Please join me welcome Engineer Johnson Ogun. So he will be sharing with us also from marketplace and marital relationship. Marketplace being a career person to work with, leads them from Shell to Seplat. It will be covering marketplace and marital relationship. Pastor Omowumi Agumbade will be covering marital relationship also and mental health, while Mrs. Joe Bodike, mental health and marketplace. So permit me, I remain my humble self, Dr. OSAZ, and we quickly dive in right now. Please note that you can write down your questions, but please, when we say you should write down your questions, don't write an essay. Because just 1 or 2 short sentences so that we can be fast. All right. Welcome, Madam Joy, Pastor Mommy, Agumbiade and Engineer Johnson. Essentially, what we're doing in this fireside chat is to track how adversities that you have experienced in the past while growing up, based on all those adversities we listed, from invalidations to betrayals to sexual abuse, physical abuse, verbal abuse, emotional abuse, also to rejection, poverty, and exposure to one another, or what you witness. All right? How they've affected you one way or the other. Now, the reality is this: until awareness is gained, you cannot heal from a trauma. And the behavioral patterns that resulted from the trauma will continue in your life, will not change. I've seen pastors that are anointed, tongue speaking, miracle working, but the behavioral pattern in their life that is induced by trauma has destroyed the lives of their children because of the way they wrongly parented the children. Maybe not due to the fault of the pastor also, because he just reacted to a trauma in his life. But you and I cannot continue like that. More importantly, we cannot keep on passing psychological pain we inherited from our own parents to our next generation. Because where we struggle in life, they will also struggle, if the psychological pain driving it is still there. And that's why we are doing this, how to gain awareness. And we will start with I will start with the man here. So my first question is this. So let's pass the mic to Engineer Johnson Ogun. I will start with the man. So based on what we have heard so far, kindly share with us the toughest adversity you experienced growing up and the resultant behavioral pattern that once adversely impacted your life, whether mental health, marital relationship, or marketplace, or is still adversely impacting on you.
Thank you so much, Dr. OSAZ, and thanks for having us here. If I go down memory lane, one of the things that struck me whilst I was growing up, that I actually thought I wouldn't want this kind of thing to happen to me, was something that happened to my mom. I was just about getting admission into university. And I've always known my mom to be a very hardworking, strong woman. And she was working in USC Foods then. I got home during one of the holidays, and I saw my mom. She was a totally different person. She's lost the essence of who she was because she lost her job. That kind of brought a lot of fear in me, you know. So you see somebody who was very vibrant, very strong woman indeed, but she lost completely who she was, and that was a job loss.
Job loss.
And when I now fought into adulthood, so you could imagine that was something that I would never want to experience myself. I met the pastor, Pastor Brimon, here today. I'm sure I've not seen him in the last 35 years or more than that, because we grew up in the same neighborhood. And one of the things that I'm sure everybody in that neighborhood would remember, or that they know, was that Johnson has gotten a very big job. Enviable, no? So if you ask most people that want to work in any corporate organization, where would you want to work? If you pass the mic round, I'm sure that more than 80% of the people here will call the company's name. So that was a very beautiful job that I got. And I was climbing in that career ladder. I worked there for about 21 years, until one day I got a call from my boss to say, I need to see you in my office. And I went to the office to see him. Surprisingly, the HR manager was there also sitting with him. And the news was just that we have to sack you today. not something that I preempted in any way. Instantly, they said, we're relieving you of your appointment, and they took my ID card at that moment. That was very, very traumatic for me. The good thing was that I had friends, and I have a very good wife who is very knowledgeable in this kind of thing. Because indeed, when things like this happen, you need support. I remember driving back home. My wife was in Lagos, I was in Port Harcourt. She was the first person I called. Apparently, she immediately called the children. And my son called me while I was driving. I said, Mommy told us what happened. And he said, Daddy, we know you will get out of this. And he said he needed to pray with me. And that brought a lot of tears, to me. So from that moment onward, I don't think I actually got myself. I came down to Lagos. Life actually made me to meet you. I had some time with you. And like you said, it's not just what happened. It's actually for one also to get clarity. Because if you're not careful, what happens is you can't even move. You don't want to leave the house anymore. And you begin to think, how am I going to take care of the family? The man we supposedly take that you have to fend for the family. The kids are abroad. Payments are to be made in US dollar. Where this thing won't come from. But if you don't get out of that mood, that freeze mood that you are in, and you begin to look back again into what happened, because I remember my past experience, my mom, I don't think she fully recovered from it. So that fear was also there. But in the midst of help from people, getting clarity, going for therapy, I actually went for therapy for like 3 good months. And all those things helped me to shake myself out of it. I think I want to stop at this one.
Thank you so much. Please a round of applause for Engineer Johnson. It's not easy to be vulnerable to share the saddest moment of your life, but to recap, there was a programming that happened to him as a result of what happened to his mom. There's a way he was programmed to interpret or expect the outcome of losing a job as a result of her mom losing her job. So maybe 20-something or 30-something years later, when it happened to him, the program is still there. Immediately, the programming kicks in, or kicked in there. And he started reacting to the job loss the same way he learned or observed his mom reacting to the job loss. Until he started gaining clarity that he had been programmed to react this way. Then he started changing the meaning he gave to what job loss is all about. And that was what kickstarted the healing. And once there is healing, the universe starts rearranging itself to make things happen for you. But once there is no healing, you'll be emitting toxic energy. You will push your angels away. You will push your helpers away until healing happens. Maybe in the second question, he will share with us the journey after healing, or from healing to now. Mrs. Joy Bodike, do you want to share also in 3 minutes?
Okay, good evening, everyone. Dr. Sass, thank you for having me, and thank you for being coming there all the time. Okay, so I'll say that my own is funny in 2 ways. That the events of my childhood has affected me in business. I would say that growing up, my mom was super hardworking. She was doing everything, taking care of the family and everything. So I always looked at her like, she's just always working. She never really depended on my dad for anything. She was this woman that was just providing without, she was always providing and doing all the work that needed to be done in the house without asking her husband for anything. And you would never see her raise her voice or even do as if it was my dad that I was doing it. So, you find that she had properties, she had a lot of things. Everything was in my father's name.
Wow.
Everything we didn't even know until we started growing up. So every time she would tell me that, work very hard, so it's always about, you need to work so hard as a woman so that you can always provide for your children. So every time as an adult, when I'm working, it's always about how am I going to make sure that I can take care of my children, not minding that they have a father. So that affected me, and I became what the Yoruba would call akilakpa. So even when I'm not supposed to do anything, akilakpa is that you just do everything. Oh. So if there is a problem, if the generator in the house has issue, I'm the one to go and fix it. Wow. If we need to change bulb, I'm the one to climb up to go and change bulb. I'm not to go and, because I just met my mother doing all of those things. And because of that, I am always working, even when I needed to stop. I just find that I'm just doing everything, just continue to do. But when the problem I now realize later in life again is that once we are at that comfort zone again, I stop working. Because I also grew up knowing my aunt, who was super, super rich, but was a monster. So in my head again, later, I realized that you don't have to be too rich, shall just be okay. So what drives me to push is always the fear of my children must not grow hungry. I must be able to afford everything for my children. But once I see that my account is comfortable to take care of us, I stop again. So it was a difficult thing until I think I had a session with you last year on this. We had a lot of things. I realized that once I just feel like we are comfortable, I can just sit down on my bed and watch TV from morning to night because we are comfortable. But immediately, I noticed that account is going down. I will start working as if the whole world wants to crash tomorrow. And that's how I could not really grow my business the way I should grow it. So I was always just like stagnant. So it was always like we're at a level for a very long time until I was able to understand that one, whether I work or I don't work, it's God that takes care of these children, they'll be fine. Because I had to tell that, because that was also affecting my life. I didn't have a life, I was just always working. I didn't socialize. Everything about my life was just work. I didn't even take care of myself, nothing, just keep working. But then once we are good, I relaxed again. So it took a while before, I would say that was just last year, that I was able to really understand that this was the major issue that was making me, stuck at a level in business. And until I was able to break that because okay, we've experienced so much growth afterwards. So I think I would just...
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for Mrs. George. And to recap what she shared, just briefly, so I remember when she shared with me last year, I think your business as of last year was 20 or 21 years old. And she said to me that I'm good at this. I'm good at this. But it's just like we are stagnant. We are on the same level for too long. And I have this dream. I remember she mentioned specifically that the vision I have for this furniture business is IKEA of Africa. So she had the vision, but her subconscious programming kept her on the same level based on what she shared until we went back to her childhood. And we track the way she has been programmed to see the meaning of working, which is just to make money to provide for the children. That's what was stopping her, because once the money to her, the money enough to take care of the children is in the account, she stops. Then the business goes down again, the artisans misbehave. She has built it up to this level. By the time she gets herself and come back, the thing don't go down like this. She starts building again. Then money comes again, she stops. And she had to change the meaning she gave to work based on what she experienced or witnessed with her mom. Pastor Mommy, kindly share, this time around, focus perhaps on marital relationship.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. OSAZ.
Welcome.
It's a privilege to be here. And forgive me that I said it was wrong number yesterday. It's not wrong number. All right. While I was growing up, I was in primary school then, and here in Lagos, my father was a military man, so we had to be moving between Lagos and in the north. But while we were in Lagos here, we experienced serious issues with armed robbery around Shogunle area. And of course, because my father was a military man, so we're living in a block building with 4 flats, and they were all military people there. But if I can recount, I think we had up to like 4 or 5 major events, armed robbery, would I call it attack, trying to gain entrance into our flat, to the point that at the time all the military men had to get a gun from, like licensed. My father, I remember the day I saw my father came into the house with, so this is so serious. Now the major trauma for me was, all through the event, they never really gained access into the house, but almost did. I remember one night where my father, my mother, my siblings, all of us, we had to be leaning at the door because the thieves, the armed robbers, were right by the door trying to gain entrance into the house. So like I said, it was there in my brain. But one day, after they got the gun, they came again one night, and my father actually shot his gun at one of the thieves. But somehow they disappeared. So later in the evening, around 5 p.m., I remember I should be like maybe about 8, 9 years old then, I can't remember vividly. But we're all there, all the little ones in the place with our parents sitting down, just talking about what happened over the night. As we're there, they just saw some 4 or 5 guys going right in front, and my dad just whispered to one of his colleagues, like, that guy looks like, though it was dark, but this guy looks strange. And as they were talking, they noticed a fresh bandage on in his hand. And suddenly my father said, maybe that's where I shot him. It could be one of the thieves. Long story short, while we were just there, my father disappeared, and my mom said, oh, he's gone. He was following those guys to just trail them. And that was like around 5:30 thereabout. And that's how we kept waiting for my dad. He didn't come home. 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., 12 midnight. You can imagine what was going on in our head. I was gone, like my dad is dead. Like you said, that thinking, like what would have happened to him. And that's how I developed anxiety and fear. I never realized it until I met Dr. OSAZ. So you can imagine having that anxiety and fear all your life, and how I would say how it affected my marriage. So I found out that fear was all over me. In fact, I remember when I got married, even my children will tag me fear mommy. Unfortunately, my husband was a man, my husband is a man of faith. He just couldn't imagine while I will always think negative. So it was almost like a conflict. He would not understand, but you call yourself a child of God. How, and then sometimes when he tells me, okay, think about the worst situation. In fact, it worsens my case when my husband will tell me, think about what is the worst case that can happen. Especially when he's talking to my children, he said, pata, pata, this is what will happen then. I'm like, you are a wicked man. You are thinking that this will happen to our child. You must be wicked from the pit of hell. But he was a man so full of faith that at the time he couldn't understand why. Like I said, until I met Dr. OSAZ, and he took me back. Should I talk about that? I should wait. It's the second question.
Okay, summarize it. Yeah.
So I had to go back to the inner child. And I remember, I wouldn't forget. I'm sure I didn't say it, but I don't know if you remember one time when we were talking and I had tears in my eyes during that session in class. It took me back to Aino Street in Shogunle. And I said, bam, that is it. Till I grew up, till I got married, Dr. OSAZ, my husband, we go somewhere and I'm like, where is he? What is happening to him? Why is he not back? And it started really, really, like I said, affecting our marriage. But thank God, I got my deliverance. I will talk more about that.
Thank you so much. Please, a round of applause for Pastor Mommy. So,
the summary of what she has shared with us is this. Sometimes the conflict you are experiencing in your marriage may be due to unhealed trauma that's affected your mental health. So she was dealing with anxiety issues without realizing. And the anxiety issue were the ones behind the conflicts ensuing in a marriage. And the anxiety issue traceable to the meaning she picked up regarding her father leaving them around 5:30, not coming back by 9, 10, 11, 12 midnight. Especially in the context of the situation. But one thing that should strike you from what she has shared so far is this. You won't realize, even though you are grown older, because you picked up this meaning subconsciously. Not a conscious thing. There is a subconscious meaning some of us have picked up regarding money. If we were to get a machine to pick some people's subconscious meaning to money, it will be the machine will just be displaying money is for spending, money is for spending, money is for spending. That's the only thing they know about money. Even though consciously they think they know other things about money. And that's why when money comes, any amount, bam, it's for spending. It's when it has finished, they will not done on them. What thing I do with this money? And it's a programming as a result of what happened in the past. It's time to break that cycle. This second wrap of this fireside chat, so that we can quickly wrap it up and we take a break. Then we come back for the second therapy session, which is the proper inner child therapy. All right, so just 2 minutes for each person. Now that you have gained awareness of that particular issue you shared with us, how has the journey been? So I'm combining, but in a little bit different way. How has the journey been? So after you gain awareness and you started healing, what was the difference it made in your mental health, in your marital relationship, in your marketplace pursuit? What was the difference? And perhaps also point out some of the things that changed, that you did, that changed, and that brought those changes in those areas of your life. Let's start with Mrs. Joy first.
Okay, so for me, one of the things I realized when I had besides my healing from that, was that I don't have to do everything. I have to accept help. You know, that is normal.
So you were not accepting help before?
I wasn't accepting help. I never even thought that anybody owed me anything. You know, so when somebody does anything for me, I'm like, why? I'm scared that there's a reason behind it. So I wasn't even accepting help. I just felt that I had to do everything myself. So when I now opened up to accept help, like when you were talking earlier, I was able to see opportunities even in my environment with colleagues, with partners that wanted to help. I'll give you an example. I was trying to, 4 weeks ago, I was trying to raise an amount, you know, because I needed to move, and I got another place. I wanted to expand my business to that, like 5 times where I am currently. And the money I was supposed to pay for that place was like 5 times what I'm paying currently as, you know, as rent for my factory. And I'm like, and before now, I would never, number one, I'll first I thought of, if you now go to these people say, they'll now say you're now having so much money. So you know that kind of thing. So I just said, okay. And you know, funny, I just called a few friends. In fact, 3 of my female friends. And I said I needed to raise this amount for this place. And 2 of them gave me that money. And it was not small money. You know, and they were like, okay, you can pay back in 1 year. I know that you can make it. And I was like, so I had people like this around me. But you know, before now, I would never have asked. I would have closed it, that was too big a dream for me. How will I be here? And I suddenly want to be here. I would not even be able to see myself that exponential leap. But because of how I now feel that, okay, I deserve it. And then if I want it and I can figure it out, I can do it. And I must not stop at survival. I have to build real wealth, because that is what this is about, not just surviving. So I've moved from survival stage in my business to where I can build real wealth and leave a legacy that can actually run itself over and over again. You know, so that's one of the things that I take care of myself now. Like
awesome. You are glowing.
I take care of myself now, you know.
A round of applause for her.
Not just sit down. I would say I decide to go to the spa. I will go to the spa. I'm the one working for this money. It shouldn't be only about
and
my
you not
children.
feel like you are sinning for going to the spa.
Yeah, so I would do small things for myself. I remember when I wanted to change my car, Dr. OSAZ. Remember when I told you? I was afraid to change my car because I felt that why should I be driving? I was driving one Camry. I know how much was in how much I was in as turnover. And I told Dr. OSAZ, you even decided that I doubled the amount. Why should I use this amount to buy a car for myself? I could not understand this. But until I said, you are running this business at this level, and this is what you are making. Buy a car now. You know, he had to convince me to see that I deserve to buy a car for myself. Because all I'm just thinking school fees, they will need money, tell them I'm in the university, what am I going to do? That was the only thing I was living for. But you know the funny thing, even with it now, we even have what we can say that is enough for us, and there's still some extra. And they're still happy. So that's how I saw it. That was just limiting my growth. So now that I've opened up my heart to know that I can do so much more, and I can accept it, and I think it's manifesting now.
Awesome, awesome. Please a round of applause for her. So one key thing that happened to her as a result of gaining awareness of the behavioral patterns stagnating her business came from is that she now became more conscious of the vision she's having for business. So sometimes I always ask people, haven't you asked yourself, why that mama where they sell akara for the corner of your house, when you were in secondary school, you went to university, you came back, she's still selling akara? Am I talking jargon? It's reality. I know people where not the same kind of business, at the same level that they've done for the last 15, 20 years. If you like, tell them that it's possible to do this. They cannot see it because the software controlling them is the behavioral pattern that is a reaction to a trauma in their life. Even to take care of herself was trouble. An alarm bell will start ringing in her head, hey, until she gained awareness. The interesting thing about, as they are sharing their story from healing now, is this. The interesting thing about this, when you fail to heal or refuse to heal, especially with this opportunity God is presenting to you and I, if care is not taken, you will pass on the same psychological pain to the next generation, your children. And your children will also be behaving like that. They will be wondering, why am I struggling? The way daddy struggled, the way mommy struggled. May that not be your portion. May you be the cycle breaker in your family that will end generational patterns. All right, over to you, Pastor Mrs. Agunbiade.
Thank you, Dr. OSAZ. You know, when you were talking about money, I was laughing because I was going to share that too. And I will just talk about it and talk about how I was. So I grew up, like I mentioned, my father was a military man, but he was not the officer cadre. Okay. My father started from recruit. So I remember, you know, when you grow up, I used to tell my siblings, of all my siblings, we are 5. I was the only one that attended a public primary school and a public secondary school. The secondary school I attended, for a long time, the state was not, the local government was not on the map of Nigeria. That was that bad it was. And I think I've shared it in church somewhere before where I said, you know, you go to school and you don't have provision, you don't have food. I remember one day, I didn't get to the dining hall on time, and I missed my lunch. And hunger dealt with me. And for the first time in my life, I stole, you know, we are so hungry, tired. I just got into the hostel, I laid on the bed, and I saw a pack of malted milk biscuits. Somebody just bought it from the tuck shop. Those children from rich homes. 12. You know the malted biscuit of those days. I looked at the malted biscuit. It was looking at me. I look. I just opened it. I carried 2. I ran command for the room. But what I'm trying to say is, I grew up at that. I remember the day I told my children that I didn't get to wear shoes to school. I was from Shogule to LA Primary School at PWD till I was in primary 3, barefooted. We used to eat, I remember our lunch was gari and eja shower with atarodo.
What?
Yes. And the first time I wore shoes to school, my dad, something just happened at the base. He had to travel with some officers and he went to Germany for the first time. And he brought one canvas for me. I will never forget, red and white. And after I wore it that morning, I was so bold, like I'm wearing shoes today. I didn't know when I stepped, heap of dump in the school, and there was a broken bottle there. I stepped on it and he said, oh, welcome to wearing shoes. But what I'm trying to say, I grew up and it affected how I see money. So when I grew up, I have one of my beloved daughter here. One day she said to me in the office while she started working with me, Mommy, you are never afraid of. So I see money, I spend it completely. Yes.
Money is for spending.
It's for, I just squander it. Like, you this money, I didn't see you on time, I will finish you. So that actually affected our home, our marriage, because my husband is a good spender, good saver. He knows how to plan, super planner. But me, let's get to the supermarket. In fact, I don't look at prices. It's that bad. But, so that's what I wanted to say until I got delivered. And how all tied together, because I could see, like when I attended the class, I knew that it was a trauma that was giving me all these behavioral patterns. Very quickly, Romans chapter 12 verse 2, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may be able to prove what is that good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. The moment I got that knowledge is deliverance. Knowledge opened me to the depth of the problem that I had, and I knew that I had to work on my mind. I had to work on my mindset. I had to work on my mindset based on the way I saw money. I know that, look, this money will always be there. If you're not careful, you're going to go back to the experience you used to have. And that helped me to train myself to learn how to see money. And then the issue of fear. The truth also, aside from the knowledge I gained from all the sessions and also with the faith-based, I kind of get it when my husband tells me, think about the worst. Like, take a journey, and you've also said it in our classes, take a journey to the end and move back. And then you will find that most of the time, the things that you are actually afraid of never really comes to pass. Because you just keep yourself in pain and on unnecessary trauma if you don't let it go.
Thank you so much. A round of applause for Pastor Mommy. So how many of us are running on a program here of money is for spending? Are you ready to break that cycle? Because you are just spending anyhow. You go see anyhow. Because. All right? Well, you got to identify where this is coming from. All right? You got to identify where this is coming from. When you have been deprived for long, it cares not taking, you are in what we call the fight mode. Remember fight mode? Your brain will be in the fight mode to defend yourself against what looked like where you are coming from that was traumatizing for you. So once money comes like this, you don't want to have any glimpse of that experience. You just be spending. And that's why I always say to people, when you pray for miracle money, it doesn't mean you'll be wealthy. Even if God answers your prayer and they dash you that miracle money of 10 million naira, if what your brain regards as money that is worth investing or saving is 200,000 naira, especially based on where you're coming from, you will spend that 10 million naira they bless you with. You will spend it anyhow till you reach the level of 200,000 naira before you wake up and say, well, what happened? Because your program is that what is worth investing or saving is just 200,000 naira. I need to experience what I didn't experience before. And I need to take myself far away from what I was denied. And that's the problem of a lot of people. I've worked with a couple of people that have financial crisis causing marital relationship crisis for them. And when we track it, one way or the other, God has answered their prayer. One breakthrough in business has come before. That was a time they were having a good job. 2022, a couple that worked with ExxonMobil, husband. I mean, anywhere. But the moment they laid him off, it took only 2 months for crisis to set in their marriage. Financial crisis. And guess what we traced it to? He grew up in abject poverty. That it was that abject poverty that killed his mom. So he's running on a programming that money is for spending to prevent your wife from dying. That once you don't spend it, your wife will die. How did his mom die? His mom left his father for another guy in the community that had money. Unfortunately, that man belonged to a gang. And one day, the other gang attacked. They shot the man and his own mother. Real life. So that traumatized him. So he was running on a program. Once there is money, the purpose of the money is to take me far away from what I experienced. Because if I don't spend this money, my wife will leave me and may die. Until he gain awareness of this. Let's come to Engineer Johnson Obum to share with us also the journey from healing. What is and how has he helped him across those 3 areas?
One key thing that changed is getting clarity. So when you get clarity of the situation and you are able to free yourself, what now happens is you have that drive to move out. So it's like the story in the Bible of the lepers that said to themselves, why stay we here and die? If you don't get clarity and you're still stuck in what has happened to you, you're not going to go out. But there's a government job that was ongoing, and they needed somebody to help them put a structure around it. And because I was present in the workshop where conversation was taking place, and I made a few comments, I got a call from them. I said, look, we want you to help us to set this thing up. And they said, send us a proposal. How much should we pay you? I didn't know what to say in terms of how much. No, I didn't know. I've always been in paid employment, even though I was very well paid. But I asked a friend of mine that invited me to that workshop, how much should I ask for? And he said, I won't be able to tell you, but you made a suggestion during that workshop, and we implemented it. Immediately, we got back to the office. And that thing actually saved our company $150,000 US monthly from what we were spending before. Instantly, I asked for $150,000 US monthly. The work I was going to do, I already knew everything I was going to do. I was not going to be supplying any material. I asked for $150,000 US. And they got back to me and said, hey, this money is too much. You're not supplying us any material. How can we pay you this kind of money? What are you offering? And I spoke what I was going to be offering to them. At the end, we ended up slightly less than that. And it was like everything I lost from my job, God paid everything almost instantly.
Hallelujah.
So this all comes from getting clarity and not getting stuck.
Thank you. Please a round of applause once again for him. What struck me from what he just shared, what struck me the most from what he just shared is this. You remember when he first spoke, he said as a result of the job loss, he started staying at home, not going out, not talking to anybody again. He was in fear because of how he has experienced or witnessed his own mom reacted to loss of job. But when he started gaining clarity through speaking to people, support and therapy, Then he started realizing, gain awareness that this is coming from how he has been programmed from what happened some years ago. And I cannot repeat. Because he mentioned something earlier. He said he doesn't think his mom broke free or recovered. So when he gained awareness that if I react the same way my mother reacted, then that the same fate that happened to her will happen to me. That clarity, that awareness helped him to launch out. Started going for workshop. Started offering free service. What have you experienced that traumatized you and kept you in your cocoon? It's time to break the cocoon and step out. Yes, they said a big no with capital letter N-O to you when you try the first proposal or you try to sell, or they even mock you. And because of that, you are no longer talking about that business because you are scared of what they will say. It's time to break free from that. Change the meaning you are giving to it. And you never can tell. If you had not gone for that workshop, what do you think will have happened? A lot of times God answers our prayer, but we know they see him. And we are not making the right move that will manifest it into the reality. Please, a round of applause for all the three of them once again. I will allow them to go back to their seat now. We're going to take a picture together because of time. We will stop here. We're going to take a break. All right? And the break is essentially for refreshment and also for guest artist performance. As you are refreshing yourself, feel free to also change your energy state in enjoying the performance of our guest artist. I don't know if Jerry Momole is already here with the saxophone up. The saxophone up is there. They'll be ministering with saxophone all through. Don't go anywhere. When we come back after 15 minutes, we're going to go into the inner child therapy. After that break, anyway, MTN will address us for inner child therapy. I will take you on a journey, help you to track the meaning you gave to issues in your life that you experienced then, and how they are affecting you, and help you to change it. And you start seeing it will be like a light bulb. It will look as if something just opened up in your brain, in your mind. You will feel freer. And you can start taking your destiny into your hands. Where's the MC Damola? Okay, well, we take our picture. Thank you for your time, everyone.
If you were blessed by that session, can you please put your hands together for the convener and all our facilitators? Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, as it has been rightly said, we are about to listen to beautiful music by the saxophone hub led by Jerry Omole. And a bit of refreshment is served. Feel free to get one for yourself. Yes, just make sure you have a copy of whatever is served. I also like you to know that in case you need One second, please, just 1 second. If you have not registered and you are already in the hall, please, we would like you to use this opportunity to register. Please go to the registration stand at the entrance and let's get you registered immediately. Thank you very much. Enjoy the saxophone hub. I'll be right back. a second. Thank you. Just be on standby. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not done yet. Stretch out and relax and choose something so that we can continue. So please don't be in a hurry to leave. We still have a whole lot to do today. So please don't be in a hurry. Don't go yet. Let's continue to relax for the next few minutes, and in about 5 minutes thereabout, we are going to continue. If you have not been served, please let us know you are going to get something immediately. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and continue to enjoy beautiful music by the Saxophone Hub. Saxophone Hub, track 901. Yes, just sing it. so much. All right, thank you very much. Can we put our hands together? Have trash cans everywhere where we can properly dispose our trash. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have enjoyed the program so far, can you put your hands together for yourselves? If I can quickly ask somebody very quickly, at least in the last 2 hours that we started, what have you learned? Just one thing that you have learned. Anybody? One thing. Anybody? Sir, what did you learn? You can say it. I will echo it for you. Okay, come forward quickly. What have you learned so far since you got in here?
Praise the Lord. I've learned how to deal with depression, anxiety, and lots.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Do we have some? Okay, sir. You have learned something too, sir. I don't know if there's. Okay, sir. If you don't mind, sir, can you come forward, sir? Okay. Oh, can you turn it? Yes.
Yeah, what I've learned. I'm a Muslim.
Wow.
Yeah, just.
Can you put your hands together for him? Thank you.
Yeah. I came from his Winbox platform.
Okay.
So what I've learned is subconscious. Like it has changed a lot of things, like from childhood therapy. Like as he's describing the healing therapy from childhood, I also visualize those things from childhood. A lot of things that I've taken up from, studied from my parents, you know, broken home, like they were divorced when I was young. Many things I picked up from my environment. I'm feeling the healing. It's not one thing, it's not two things, it's so many that you can't even say it out that this is what has been repaired because you're hearing it from 4 different people. It's so much. It's not one, it's not two. Even many, I'm sure many people here cannot even explain many things that is being repaired just from this session alone. That's what I've learned today.
Who else feels the same way? Can you please put your hands together for him? Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing. Ladies and gentlemen. Okay.
Sorry, before we go ahead, I forgot to present a gift to our speakers. And I will just quickly do that before we move to the next item on the agenda. I think the other 2 speakers are the fireside. Please let me call them back in. And by the way, the break is over. Please let's return back inside so we can catch up with time. We're about to dimension. We want to go deeper now. Well, let me invite up Engineer Johnson Ogbun. Please a round of applause for him as we present his gift to him.
Please put your hands together for him.
The white. Thank you. Where's Mrs. Joy Bodike? Mrs. Joy Bodike, you can start coming back in. Then Pastor Omo will be Agumbiade. So come over, sir. Let me hold the mic.
Can we put our hands together for him? Thank you very much, sir, for sharing. Thank you very much, sir, for... Thank you.
It's just a token of our love. We cannot pay them for coming. We just want to appreciate you that we don't take your time for granted. We don't take this for granted. We really appreciate you. God bless you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, Pastor Mawumi Agubiade. Is Mrs. Joy Bodike still around? Okay, she's coming. So let's bring the other green. Yes. So, this is a token to appreciate you. Thank you so much. It can't feel like heavy. So I want to say we can't pay you for grazing this platform. We appreciate you so much, and that's why we don't want to make you feel like we are taking it for granted. So this is just a token of our appreciation to you. God bless you. Yeah, and this is a round of applause for her. Then Mrs. Joy Bodike, our business mogul. It's good to take good care of yourself. See how you are glowing. It's good to take good care of yourself now. So to those of you that are holding the money, all right, so this is just a token in appreciation from Winbox and the team at HealingFest that we appreciate you. We don't take this for granted, your time spent. We know you are a busy woman. And now that you have learned to rest and not just walk, spend time for yourself, we don't want to take much of that without appreciating you. Just a token, God bless you, we appreciate you. All right, just one more thing. Sorry, Damola.
Yes.
A link will be projected now. Okay, it's already projected. Somebody asked me outside, after this, after we have kickstarted the awareness and the healing journey, what next? A lot of people cannot afford it. We know. And we cannot solve everybody's problem. We are not Jesus Christ. We can only do our parts, the little we can do. So there's a link available for those that click on the link or copy it or scan it, or you register outside at the registration desk. We are making provision for a few number of people for free session for the next 3 months. Just one session per month for the next 3 months. We have like 10 healing coaches trained that will be attending to you, that will pair you up with. So register outside, or you scan the code, or click the or copy the link and click on it and register. It must be done today. It's only those that we have today that we're going to pair up. You enjoy one free session per month for the next 3 months. Also, we have some materials that can help you in this journey outside. Some of them are already, all of them are actually displayed outside. So we have Train Your Brain for Success. Now, this is the one that even applies the most to what we are doing here today, both in audio form and printed form. It's about behavioral patterns, 50 behavioral patterns from different real-life situations and fictional situations, and how people broke free from it to achieve success. It's all about training your brain for success, audio and print. We also have the one for dealing with stress, both in audio and print. Stress to Wellness is available outside. This one chronicles the 8 areas of your lifestyle through which stress is affecting or attacking your health and happiness. All right, then we have another one. It's about weight fitness, 40-day challenge. It's in print and audio version also. Then we have a DVD on overcoming stress, anxiety, and depression outside. And another one on mastering your personality for success in life. Then lastly, we have a frame of power affirmations, what you wake up to every day and be affirming to yourself. The frame is outside, a limited copy, a limited number of copies. You can get them outside at the registration stand there. Thank you.
Can we put our hands together for Dr. OSAZ? Thank you very much, sir, for that beautiful one. I'm aware that those online were also responding to the question that I asked about what they have learned so far. And we got some feedback where people are saying that they are healing, they are being blessed, they are inspired. Thank you very much for participating. We acknowledge that. Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to listen to our corporate partner at this time. One of our corporate partners is going to say something right now. MTN Nigeria. Please put your hands together for the representative of MTN Nigeria as we listen to them at this time. They are one of our very special partners. Thank you very much. MTN Nigeria, please. Anybody? Our representative from MTN Nigeria, if you don't mind, we'll appreciate that you please come forward to share. All right. As we are getting ready for the representative from MTN, you know, as we're talking about trauma from the past, I was just thinking generally and broadly that there is a difference between canteen and restaurant. In a canteen, with about 1,000, you can taste everything they have. Give me rice, 200. Beans, 100. Plantain, 100. One fish, one meat, one pomo, one egg. Inside one plate, a small macaroni. It's nice meeting you. Everything inside one. You can taste everything that they have, depending on the canteen you visit. In that type of place, you take 2 pure water, 2. But in a restaurant, they arrange food based on their types. And you may not even know the cost per portion on getting there. When you get there, you just point at, give me a portion of this. They put it. A portion of rice, they put it. A portion of plantain, they put it. 1 chicken, they put it. 1 bottle of water, they put it. Normal food of a normal person. But if God blesses you, you should not upgrade from canteen to restaurant. Where you are coming from may show from the way you order your food. By the time you get there, when you first see jollof rice, basmati rice, or father rice, fried rice, coconut rice, village rice, you now enter with pride, as if you know as if you know them before. You now start asking, what is this? You say it's rice. Which type? Chinese rice. As you are doing like this, you are trying to look for white rice. Oh? Just see white rice. Can I have a portion of this? They put it. Can I have that dry beans? They put it. Can I have plantain? They put it. Can I have spaghetti? They put it. Can you put one meat? They put it. One fish? They put it. One pomo? They put it. 2 eggs? They put it. You now carry the food. It look like sacrifice. People will be greeting you. You don't know why. Because you are used to pure water. Say, give me 2 bottled water and 1 big drink. You will not carry it. You will say, you say, go to bed. In a canteen with less than 1,000 thereabout, can eat full bread and beans. But in a restaurant, you can find beans, but you may not find a corresponding bread. Because the type of bread they sell there is not the same type that they sell in canteen. The type of bread in canteen is agege bread. Those ones that with one hand you will squeeze it with the nylon, you hear pop. All those type of bread you use it for a wagon. Am I saying the truth? You press the bread on the beans, that's all. We thank God for everything. But in a restaurant, you will look at the beans. Can I have a portion of this? They put it. You look at the bread. Very tall bread like that. And you cannot say, help me cut it into 2. Just look at the bread. Because if you should buy the bread and that beans, people will be wondering, you'll be looking at, you now start looking for the closest alternative. Give me beans. You say, we have put it. What type of beans? It is here. You have put the beans, right? You say, it is here. You now start looking for the closest alternative to bread. You now say, give me beans and 2 donuts. You know. And some of us ran away from mathematics when we were in secondary school. Am I saying the truth? We ran from mathematics. Some people know maths when we were in secondary school. The example they give us on the board is always simple. But the one they will give you in the class, 5 unfamiliar questions. You start wondering, which type of problem is this one? Inside the same class, when they give you 5 questions, x into x minus x raised to power x is equal to s, find s. See, which type of problem is this one? Inside that same class, there's one guy with thick glasses that has rope. That guy knows all the maths. And why? Why was I scared of maths? Because of my maths teacher that used to ask me questions that I felt he did not know. He can enter the class and say, you stand up. 99 times 804 without calculator. Sir, were you keeping malice with me before? If you want to flog me, flog me. So, inside that same class, one guy knows all the maths. You are still in number 1 trying to figure it out. Is in number 3. Where others are using, where you are trying to figure it out, he will bring out calculator. He will not bring out ordinary calculator. He will bring out what now? Scientific calculator. Saying, where did they ask us to press calculator in this question now? Before you know it, the guy will bring out math set. You will not start using normal part of math set like eraser and pencil. You start using protractor, divider, compass. You will be drawing circle. Where did they ask us to draw circle in this question? Before you know it, the guy will bring out 4-figure table, and you are still in number 1. Before you know it, the guy will bring out graph book, Okay. He will bring out graph book. He will use broom to be drawing quadratic graph, and you are still in number 1. Before you know it, the guy will raise up his hand. Say, sir, what happened? Extra sheet. But we thank God we survived all that. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we are about to have another very important segment. But when you went out for the refreshment, were you refreshed? Are you ready for the next segment? All right, ladies and gentlemen, this segment is called the Cycle Breaker Healing Affirmations. The Cycle Breaker Healing Affirmations, the Break the Cycle session. break the cycle session. Ladies and gentlemen, he was here much earlier. He's coming up again to speak to this. I'd like you to know that everything that is happening here is very expensive. Very, very expensive. Getting a one-on-one, interaction with a therapist of his status, but he's doing this absolutely free. Can we please put our hands together for him? Thank you. Please put your hands together for Dr. OSAZ as he comes forward to speak on Break the Cycle. Please celebrate him, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Because of time, we'll quickly go straight into the matter. If you know that where you are seated, Ojo, please let me bring that. If you know where you are seated, we not allow you to be free, to be vulnerable. Maybe you are shy of your wife. You have my permission now to, you have my permission after you have taken permission from your wife to move to another location. Because it's time to deal with yourself. It's time to visit and have a conversation with your inner child. There's an inner child in every one of us, even though we are 60-something, 50-something, 40-something years old, 30-something years old. And I'm going to demonstrate this with this exercise, and we'll go into the therapy. I'm going to demonstrate this with this exercise. But please ensure that where you are seated, you are free to be vulnerable. If you feel that you'll be shy, you'll be distracted, that seat over there, that seat over there, just ensure that you are focused. We'll be spending 1 hour on this and we'll wrap it up, but I don't want it to be a waste for you, all right? For you to wait till this time. Some people have left. For you to wait till this time, you must make good use of it. So, can I have one usher, please? Can I have one usher come upstairs, on stage rather? So, where's the second cup? Let me bring this small cup, the second cup. So what I'm about to do, I want to show you why you need to break this cycle. Can I have my slide, please? Can I have my slide? What are we about to do? Break the cycle. Your father struggled with money all through. It's largely because of the mindset. We are not blaming him. But there's a mindset and behavioral pattern that he ran with. Results will not change until mindset and behavior change. Results will not change until mindset and behavior change. If you like, pray and fast till tomorrow. Even if God grants you a miracle money, you will spend it anyhow back to the level that your mind can take. And if your behavioral pattern is due to unhealed trauma in your life, until the trauma is healed, the behavior will continue, and thus you keep getting the same result. And if you grew up watching your father behave that way towards money, subconsciously you start behaving that way, and you'll be wondering why I'm struggling until you break that cycle. Because if you don't break that cycle, you will pass on that behavioral pattern to your own children, because they will observe you, they will watch you, and they will repeat, and that cycle can continue. I've seen people, or a couple of ladies approach me and say, Dr. OSAZ, do you believe in generational curse? I say yes and no. She said, Dr. OSAZ, well, I don't want you to be a politician. Just say one. I say yes and no. That's a bitter truth. Yes, there's generational curse, if you want to call it that way. But no, there's no generational curse. How do I mean? A lot of things that we call generational curse are behavioral patterns that are being passed on. They're being passed on. For example, a grandmother ended up with a broken home. Her own mother ended up with a broken home. She herself, I'm referring to a lady that approached me, under 2 years, her marriage has ended. And the biggest problem I see with generational patterns is this. A care is not taken. Once it has been lasting for too long, we start normalizing it. Maybe not so, go one time. But I believe there are people here that will wake up from their slumber to stand up, to rise up, to decide that they are breaking the cycle of generational patterns, sabotaging their mental health, marital relationship, and marketplace success. You can be a cycle breaker. You can break the cycle. You can decide today that you are not going to pass on a sabotaging behavioral pattern to the next generation. It ends with you. And that's what we're about to do in this session. That's what we're about to do in this session. And it's very much possible. I need you to realize that it's very much possible. You may not get the whole of the healing you want now. It can be a journey. But once you kickstart it, with little guidance, the journey continues to perfection. So watch what I'm about to do. Come over here. So let me hold the mic. All right. It's a simple demonstration to help us gain perspective of what is happening. Now, you see these two cups? Let's take this cup as your grandparents, either grandmother or grandfather, representing your grandparents, your grandmother, or your grandfather. And these are your parents, your father or your mother. And their behaviors you observe in them. Some of us is the way our father demeaned or invalidated our mother. Some of us is the way they reacted towards money. I mean, I've seen parents that force their children not to start a business. Say, in this country, how many people where they do business, they survive? Just graduate and go and look for a job. When she started working, and she became restless. No business, I want to do this, I have this talent, I have this skill. The parent fought her. And she continued on the job, but frustrated. So when she approached me, I said, don't blame them. Go and check where they are coming from also. It was passed on to them. And they are passing the same pattern to you. And the pattern, behavioral pattern, don't blame them. It's a reaction to a trauma somewhere that was passed on to them, and they are passing on to you. It's not for you to decide if you're going to pass it on to your own children or you're going to be the cycle breaker. Some of us, it's about marital relationship. We have a hijack mentality about marital relationship, about trust, about accountability. And it's going to affect you. If you like pray and fast it tomorrow, it will affect you. Garbage in, garbage out. It will affect your relationship. Some of us, we are control freak. And we learned by observing our parents being control freak. They want to be in control of your mom, control of everybody, the time they go out, the time they come in. It affected their relationship. Either it killed the confidence of your mom or even your father, or either of them became a shadow of themselves. Now, without realizing, because it's happening subconsciously, you are also a control freak. It made you lose your first relationship, second relationship, or you are even in marriage already. It's killing your parenting because your children are rebelling against you. Because they will not take that. It's time to break that cycle. Now, when God created you and I, just watch. Let me pick up one cup. Pick up the grandfather or grandmother cup. This is your grandparents. Either of them, let the water, so that water will not pour on here. Or else the church will hold you responsible. So the water must pour inside this hand. So your hand should be on top like this. So when God created your grandparents, the water was transparent, pure. This is your grandparents. Excuse me. Now, certain adversities happen to your grandparents. Can you see over there? Okay. Certain adversities happen to your grandparents. You remember all the list of the adversities. Some of them, your grandparents experienced extreme poverty. They were deprived of basic needs. And there's a way they learn to cope. There's a mindset they develop as a result of that. So extreme poverty colored their mindset and attitude to basic needs. Some of them dealt with abuse, physical abuse. They beat the hell out of them. It colored their mindset to the way to parent. Some of them, when daddy wanted to go out, they said to them, oh yeah, go and wear your shoe. Before they came out, daddy don't disappear. It colored their trust. Some of them, when they were accountable, they worked for federal government. didn't steal any money, and they were accountable. Now 10 naira where they collect, now in then go put for paper. Work studiously, accountable with integrity for 30 years, 35 years. Only for them to finish work, retire, their pension was nowhere to be found. They were not blaming themselves for being accountable. It has colored their mindset about accountability. Some of them experienced job loss or a business failure, and their life took a negative turn. Or they even witnessed it. You just observe a friend or a sibling who eventually died as a result of not being able to make a headway after job loss or after a business failure. It colored their mindset or the meaning they give to job loss or business failure. Some of them, they experienced rejection because they didn't have money. When the grandfather wanted to marry, several women made a mess of them because they didn't have money, rejected them severally. Before your grandma, now out of mercy of God, accepted him and they married. But that collection by the opposite sex and the way they see the opposite sex. Now, this is your grandfather or your grandmother with a colored or hijacked mindset and behavior to certain areas of life that have listed as a result of the trauma they experienced. They give birth or gave birth to your own parents. So you pour it inside here. They gave birth to your own parents. Full. So this, your parent now. Your parents. Unfortunately for your own parents, they didn't get to attend this kind of program. You know, oftentimes the meaning you pick up to these things that happen to you, adversities that happen to you, happen subconsciously. It's not as if one angel will announce it to you or something, or you will even be conscious of it. Like the fireside chat we had. The three of them didn't gain clarity until, I remember when Joy Bodike came for a session at the office. Immediately we got to that point of her mother, immediately, boom! She said it, that this is where my problem is coming from. But to her, she was just walking and walking and walking. You should have seen her the way she looked before. And she was making money. She walked like a clock. But once the money she perceived as enough for them is there, she stopped working. Sometimes she will not go. You know how artisans in Nigeria are like, you might not go for 1 week, 2 weeks. By the time she gets there, a lot of things will have been spoiled. Then she starts building all over again. Now, the problem with a lot of our parents is this. They didn't have this knowledge. That's why I always say don't blame them. They didn't have this knowledge. And I still see parents that fought their son to the point that the son sent me a DM on Instagram. He said, I saw your book in my dad's table. He came for your training. And I believe he will listen to you. Please let me talk to my dad. So I responded to his DM. I never knew him from anywhere. I responded to his DM. So tell me what happened. I sent him my number and he called. So this guy is a content creator. What he's doing even makes sense. He's using his content creation to create an advocacy and at the same time making money on TikTok and on YouTube. Then he has even graduated to doing small short movies. And he has a dream of becoming a film producer and especially a documentary producer. But the father, because of that, forced him. Because initially it was tough for him also, even as a content creator. The father said, you cannot sit down. How can you graduate from civil engineering and you say all you do is be on social media? And the father, one way or the other, not directly forced him to leave the house. Because the father threatened him that you either stay under my roof and get a job, or you choose where you will live. And he chose where he lived. Now, a lot of them, our parents, they didn't have the knowledge to gain awareness. And some of them also now had to deal with their own adversities. So some of them, along the way, inflation setting. The salary, they didn't lose their job. The salary has not reduced. But what the salary can do due to inflation is like less than 1/3 of what it used to do. It traumatized them. And there's a meaning they gave to salary earning. There's a meaning they gave to even inflation. That once you will not be able to make ends meet, it further colored their mindset and attitude. Some of them, they didn't even pick up a pattern regarding marital crisis. But it's in their own marriage. As a result of a negative, traumatized pattern they picked up from their parents regarding money, the financial crisis now caused marital issue for them. And the marital issue colored their mindset and attitude towards the opposite sex. And it colored their mind. For example, another guy, the moment he started struggling with money, the wife started calling him all manners of names. And later on, we even got to realize that the wife also was dealing with her own issue, which I don't want to disclose here. So he colored the mindset of this guy to believe, and he was even saying it to his first son, that once there is no money, there is no romance. Once you lose money, in fact, he told me categorically, he said, remember, he once spoke to his son early in the morning that your essence as a man is to provide. That forget all these things that women are saying, attention, attention, attention. That if you have all the attention, give them all the attention. If there's no money, that they will leave you instanter. He colored his mind and he was passing it on. So he experienced more coloring. Can you see that it's thicker now? So all the issues that the father experienced, he's seeing the same issues in his life and even worse, and he's wondering why. He's beginning to think it's a generational cause or generational pattern. The question now is this: he has bet you. Please, Paul, by transferring the patterns to you and I. As a matter of fact, some of the patterns can be genetic, because your gene can be altered as a result of your long-standing mindset and behavior. But the good news is that it's less about your gene. Even if you are inherited a bad gene, science proves to us that you can inherit a bad gene for alcoholism. You can inherit a bad gene for depression. But science also proves to us that in the outcome of your life, genes only represent 10 to 30%. 70 to 90% of the outcome of your life, driven by your behavior, is largely by your nurturing. What you have learned from the environment you grew up in, your experiences, your education and exposure. So you and I, we are represented by this now. You can see the issue in your finance. You can see the issue in your workplace. You can see the issue in your business. You can see the issue in the way you are parenting your children, how it's affecting their life. You can see the issue in the way you are communicating with your spouse. You can see the issue in the way you see yourself, that's making you to become a victim to guys that come. You can see the issue in your self-esteem. You can see the issue how it's affecting the way you sell yourself in the business, in the workplace. You can see the issue even in your mental health, how you are struggling with anger issue, anxiety issue, depression issue, sleep issue, substance abuse. The question now to you and I is, will you pass it on? Will you also pass it on as your grandparents pass it on to your parents and pass it on to you? Or you will be the cycle breaker? So, my challenge to you, and I'm pleading, be a cycle breaker. And it's possible, and I will demonstrate it to you, and we'll go into the therapy. So, hold this bottle. Instead of passing it on to your own children, and the cycle continues. Like the Bible says, do not be conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. It's a continuous process. And how does the renewal of your mind comes? Knowledge, information, like the awareness you are gaining in the first session. As you are gaining awareness now, there's a light bulb moment. What is happening to you? So drop that one. Drop it here. what is happening to you instead of picking this one up? What is happening to you now as you're gaining awareness of where your behavioral pattern is coming from as a reaction to certain trauma or inherited from your parents by observing them. The more you gain awareness, the more you talk about it, the more you track the meaning you are giving to those things, like job loss, the more you give meaning, the more you track the meaning, wrong meaning that you have given to certain challenges. Some of us, when a woman, I remember a guy that had issue in the workplace, he's a manager, and the issue was essentially with ladies that are short. Once you are a short lady in his department, it will make your life a hell without realizing. It's subconsciously, he didn't realize until the session. And it is real life. And when the company was the one that sponsored it and referred him, when I tracked it, guess where we found it came from? His first job after NYC, the female boss he worked with was a short woman. To him, terrible, worse than a devil, made a living hell out of his life. So he was traumatized, and the meaning he gave to short women in the workplace is that they are rude and angry. So if you are working with him now that he's a manager, he has already concluded and qualified you as long as you are a short lady, you are rude and angry. So even when you question certain things out of genuine heart for the betterment of the team, interpret it as rude and angry. Now, by gaining awareness, by learning where your trigger is coming from, by even tracking the behavioral pattern causing problem for you in your mental health, marital relationship, and workplace or business, you are clearing off. Just like as I'm pouring clean water to this, you are clearing off some of the toxins of trauma that have hijacked your mindset and behavior. Can you see it's getting lighter? Now, if you pass it on to your children at this point, we are not creating perfection here. Perfection is an illusion. Progress is always more important than perfection. You may not be able to perfectly heal, but kickstart the journey to healing. Don't pass it on. Be the cycle breaker. But if it's possible, as long as God gives you life, don't stop learning. Don't stop gaining awareness of her. In fact, permit me to say this. Some of us, it's religion that's traumatized us. Permit me to go to that area. I've worked with somebody like that before. Religion has traumatized us. Growing up, they don't count plenty laws for you. That if you call this like this, if you lie like this, the angel that will strike you. Or if you commit this sin, God cannot bless you again. As this say, it's a transaction between you and God. Once you do good, He only does good to you. If you do bad, God does bad to you. Then why is He God? He's not different from a human being. He said, while we were yet sinners, He commanded His love towards us. Whatever trauma that you have received has hijacked your mindset, once you start gaining light, knowledge, and you keep taking it in and replacing the meaning you are giving to those mindsets in your life, you start seeing the difference in the result in your behavior, and thus the results. As you see, it's getting lighter, right? No matter how dark your mindset and behavior has become as a result of what you inherited, observed from your parents, or what adversities in the past have caused for you, you can heal by just soaking in a different meaning to the situations that have traumatized you or to what you have observed in your parents. Yes, your mother experienced a terrible time in the hands of your father, but it doesn't mean all men are like that. You got to change the meaning you give to men in marriage. Can you believe that a cup of water that was deep brown before we turn to this color? Can you see the color? And if I continue, it will become clearer and clearer. And you know what? If you take it to the lab and measure the concentration of sugar and caffeine and cola in it, it will have reduced significantly. It's possible to break the cycle, ladies and gentlemen. And on that note, please a round of applause for the two gentlemen and lady. Let me get a towel to clean this. I need you to be alone with yourself now. Be alone with yourself. Who is a cycle breaker? You can show me the slide as we go into this therapy, inner child therapy now. Who is a cycle breaker? A cycle breaker is someone in the family that even though there's a generational pattern notoriously known for your family, they know they rise beyond this in their career. Something will happen and they will demote them. And they will ascribe it to Ogundile or demon. Oftentimes, go and check it. There's an attitudinal issue that caused their downfall. Once they reach a particular level of leadership, there's a generational pattern of attitude that brings them down. And the problem with blaming others is this: you will never gain awareness because you believe it's not with you, it's others. Are we saying there is no demon or curse or enchantment? The spiritual world is real. We're not saying it's not real. I've shared my story before. I will be deceiving myself if I say that powers no day apart from power of God. It's just that power of God is superior. My dad has demonstrated. My dad is a pastor before he became born again. In fact, that's how he got born again. Now, champ, then catch with him for secondary school. Baptist College, his spiritual mother of blessed memory, Hama Rome. That's why she took interest in him, and eventually he gave his life to Christ. And he shared a couple. Okay, please, is there an arrangement for children? Outside. They said some children are distracting, and as we're going to therapy, we need no distraction. Hopefully, if the children are crying, just focus, all right? We may not be able to, we don't have a provision for the children. So, but if there's a way, a child that is crying, just take them to the space outside there, all right? Our team will take care of the child for you. But hopefully, there won't be none. There won't be any, rather. Now, I've forgotten where I stopped. Yeah, my father. And he told me also a couple of things. He taught us a couple of lines. There are lines of words that you can use to evoke some powers. And before he eventually became fully committed to ministry, he once demonstrated one. I was very young then, maybe around age 7 or 8. It's only myself and my middle younger brother that followed him to the farm. And near our tent in the farm, the bees have formed a hive on a particular tree. So it took us to this next tent, which was a bit far away, but we could see this main tent. And my father went back there. He said he wants to cut and chase the bees away. And we saw him using cutlass to cut the hive. But as he was cutting the hive, he didn't cover himself with anything. I didn't know what he was doing. I saw him doing like this. I guess maybe he's saying some things. And I saw the bees circling around his head, but they didn't touch him. Not one touched him. Real life. When he came back, after he has cut off all those things, he now set it on fire. When he came back, I asked him, I've always been a curious child. What were you saying? What were you doing? How did they come? They didn't touch you. And he explained that there are words control this world. He said there are words that you can say. Once you know how to mix them together, you become invisible to the bees. Real life. I grew up knowing some leaves that you can use on your tongue. And when you say, come and buy this my phone, let's say this phone is 50,000 naira, and I say to you, come and buy it for 500,000 naira. Once I use it on my leaf, on my tongue, you will not refute it. I will my you. So I know that powers exist, but I also know that all those powers are nothing before the one that created those powers themselves. And he has given us principles. He has given us principles. He said, when I say to people, principles around this world, I'm not saying something that is scientific only. It's also spiritual. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God, and the Word was God. And nothing was ever created. So it's time to change the meaning you are giving to what has traumatized you. So on that note, I want you to say to yourself, I am a cycle breaker. Somebody is not sure yet if he can break the cycle. So help me say to the person beside you, I'm a cycle breaker. If the person is not responding well, tell the person, are you a cycle breaker? Is the person responding? Okay. All right. It's time to break the cycle. Seeing or early patterns in your family and deciding that those patterns end with you and will not be passed down to your future generation is an extremely brave and powerful decision. I congratulate you. And it's time to do that. You are a cycle breaker. Next slide. You are a cycle breaker. Skip. Yes. When you are able to, even though there is a genetic imprint in you for alcoholism, but it ends with you, you're a cycle breaker. Because your grandpa, they drink anything, even urine. Your own father can drink anything, even urine. And if they check the genetic analysis, there's a possibility that it has been printed now on their genes. But you can break it, you can check. You are not condemned to your gene. You grew up knowing your mother to be filled with anxiety issue. And your mother even told you that now, so my mama also be. You can be the cycle breaker and end it. You're a cycle breaker if you can start the healing in your family. You're a cycle breaker if you can recognize the dysfunctional behavior in yourself and change it. You're a cycle breaker if you can take time to understand why the people in your family are as they are. You're a cycle breaker if you can identify coping mechanisms that your parents, your grandparents used to cope against trauma in their life, and it became their behavioral pattern, and they call it, this is my normal behavior. No, sir. You just normalized a trauma-induced coping mechanisms. You're a cycle breaker if you can know yourself outside your family. Yes, blood is strong, but your identity is not tied to your family. Maybe everybody among your siblings already broken home. It doesn't mean that's your lot. Your identity is not tied to your family, especially once you start gaining awareness. And one of the awareness you gain is the fact that you are now in Christ Jesus. You are a cycle breaker if you recognize unhealthy familiar patterns and choose not to repeat it. And that's what you are about to do. Ladies and gentlemen, there are 3 levels to this. Next slide, please. There's 3 levels to this. First level is to discover. And we have done that in the first session. That's a lot about awareness. Discover the unhelpful patterns in your money spending, in your finance, in your career, in your business, in your communication, in your marriage, in the way you parent your children, in the way you manage time, in the way you take care of yourself, in the way you handle deadlines, bills, in the way you handle rejection, in the way you handle loss, handle negative news. Once you gain awareness of this unhelpful pattern and track them to what traumatized you, that this pattern became a coping mechanism initially and became a generational pattern or behavioral pattern for you. Once you can discover it, you have kickstarted your journey to healing. It's the first step. And I believe you have done that today in the first session. The second session second stage is to heal. And what's the healing all about? It's to get to the root of the issue, those adversities. There is some people, it may be 2 adversities, 3 adversities, multiple. But for each of them, you must visit them. And we just kickstart the journey of healing for you. There's a meaning you started giving to what happened to you. There's a way you have been programmed to interpret or give or see failure. When your father failed in his business, and as a result of that business failure, he just started drinking anyhow. To paronure, pardon my vernacular, to clear worry. The care is not taking, you have learned how to respond or react to business failure. How? Drink away your sorrow. Subconsciously, you didn't even realize it, and care is not taking. One day, because life is full of ups and downs, one day, you will fail in business. It's not a course, oh. It's not a course. If you're an entrepreneur, you should know that failure is part of entrepreneurship. Bill Gates defines success as going from failure to failure fast enough without losing your enthusiasm. But because you have a wrong programming towards failure, when yours happens, case not taking, you will be panoronure with alcohol. You not realize why you are doing that. It's time to heal. Once you can change the meaning you gave to failure, the meaning you gave to yourself for failing, the meaning you gave to the circumstances that led to it, the assumptions, the beliefs you picked up. Once you can track them and change them, give another meaning to them, and yes, you can change it, because there's no one meaning to any situation in life. Please write that down or note it in your phone. 2 principles for this healing session. No situation in life has one meaning. You were programmed to give the meaning you are giving to it. It doesn't mean that's the only meaning to that situation. You were sexually abused and it's affected your trust. It's because you gave a particular meaning to it, but that's not the only meaning that is available. You were programmed to give that meaning, that because you are raped or because you had a child out of wedlock, nobody can marry you again. You were programmed to give that meaning. That's not the only meaning available. We have seen people that had a child out of wedlock that still got married and living successfully in their marriage. I worked with a lady 3 years ago, came for our training in our academy. She was raped 5 times. 5 times between the ages of 9 and 13. And not just raped. 2 things. One, she was raped by her cousin. Second one, she was raped by her uncle that she was staying with. Third one, she was raped by armed robber. That one led to a child. Became pregnant. And life became a mess. She started drinking. She learned to cope with the troubles of the memories of the rape by taking substances, smoking. That's how she started smoking and everything. She became anger prone. Any small thing, she gets angry anyhow. And her life was just meaningless. Until somebody invited me to a program in Ajegule, a youth empowerment program. And that's how I met her. I started coming from stock. And she started changing the meaning she gave to what happened to her. The day the meaning you gave to something changes, your behavior towards that thing starts changing. And that's healing. Now you will now need to now grow in the new behavior. Because you have to repeatedly practice the behavior till it becomes a new habit for you. That one is on your own, that you will now go and do that. You may need a coach or a support to help you with that. That's not my role for today. The third stage is the second stage. So, let's take on the journey together. If you're going to be distracted by the people beside you, close your eyes. But if you don't get distracted, don't close your eyes. You don't have to close your eyes. But if you know you get distracted, so I want you to take your mind through your life. We are focusing on 3 areas only. We have started. In your mental health, from confidence level to anxiety issue, to depression issue, to hunger issue, to mood issue, to substance abuse. That's for mental health. Then to marital relationship area of your life, whether you are married or not, the way you respond or relate with the opposite sex, the trust, the communication, the accountability. The way you forgive, the way you respect. How is it affected? What are the issues you have in your marital relationship, in your mental health? Then your marketplace, talk about career, finance, or business. What are the issues you're having? And what are the behavioral patterns that you know are traceable to this issue? Once you've identified it, We won't be able to deal with all at once. I want you to identify the most crucial one for you as of now. Which one is the most concerning one for you? Somebody may say, it's money matter. And you have identified the behavioral pattern. Somebody else will say marital relationship. Somebody else may say in my business, I can't sell. And I know I need to start selling. Somebody else may say it's confidence. Somebody else may say it's depression, mental health. Just identify one. Once you have identified one, please don't get distracted by those walking on or moving around. Focus on yourself now. Once you have identified it, the next thing I want you to do, I want you to reminisce on the challenges this behavioral pattern has cost you or cost for you. The desired result it has cost you. The consequences it has cost you. I want you to relive so that you can know why you need to break it. Has it affected your financial stability or independence or wealth creation? Has it affected the life of or the quality of life of your children? Has it affected your own mental health? Perhaps has it affected even your faith in God or ministry? Has it affected the peace at your home? Has it affected other areas of your life? Or your career? Or growing your business? Or your brand, if you're a talent person? I give you 30 seconds to reminisce on that. It's crucial. Compare what you desire to where you are. Has this behavioral pattern that you have identified the most concerning one for you, has it contributed to the gap between where you are now and where you desire to be? Once you have done that, I want you to now start asking yourself, where did I learn this behavior from? The way I yell at my children, the way I'm a control freak, the way I don't know how to sell, the shy part of me is a behavior, being shy, not knowing what to say, or the way I spend anyhow, or not being creative, not being able to spot opportunities, not being able to take risk, or not being accountable, or not being able to let go, forgive, and trust again. Where did I learn this behavior from? Start asking yourself. It's a moment of you and yourself. As I'm guiding you through this therapy, where did I learn this from? There are 4 E's that we learn things from. Ensure you don't drift into sleep, by the way, because I changed my tone of voice. It can be a bit hypnotic, but don't drift into sleep. There are 4 E's you definitely have learned it from. The environment you grew up in, that is with your parents, and may not have happened to you. It may be what you witnessed in your parents or in a neighbor, or the education you receive. Sometimes your education can traumatize you. The religious education you receive, the Western education you receive. For example, Western education can traumatize someone like me. Most medical doctors are not good businessmen until you relearn how to do business. Most engineers are not great with people. They don't have people skills. Because engineering programmed them to relate to human beings like they are relating with machine. So ask yourself, environment, education, experiences that I have, that is, that happened to me, or exposure, that is what happened to others that I witnessed, or read about, or I saw in the news. It could be one of the adversities that you identified in the first session that you will find in one of the 4 E's or across the 4 E's. So the essence of this particular one now is for you to identify. In my environment I grew up in the education I received, or experiences that I had, or exposure, what adversity did I experience or got exposed to, or got educated in, or saw in my environment, or experienced in my environment that was so traumatizing for me, that triggered me into behaving like this, or that I used this behavior to cope against just to survive. Some of us, the reason for our relationship crisis is that we don't take correction. We don't take feedback. And we learned not to take corrections or feedback, perhaps because while we were growing up as the last born, your voice didn't matter. Everybody corrected you. Your voice didn't matter. It was as if you are not a human being. So you learned to rebel against correction. So identify yours. So once we've identified that adversity that happened, that led to the behavioral pattern, now the next thing I want you to start doing is to see yourself go back to the age you were when you experienced the most intense part of that adversity. What age were you? See your smaller version, the younger version of you. For example, a lady I once worked with who is doing well now is a country manager of a multinational now. But when she first came to me, her issue was that she discovered that for the past 4 to 5 years in her workplace, no promotion. And she was the brain behind her team. She was the brain. She finished with first class from university and had a distinction in masters. But she had a problem, phobia for public speaking. Even if it's 3 or 4 people, to present before them, it be as if the ground should open up. So when they have any project, she will be the brain behind the project. But she will give it to somebody else in the team to present before the leadership of the company. So it's the person that presents that the leadership is seeing and thinking is the high value employee or 5-star performer. They know they see her present. So she no got promotion until somebody call her attention to it. It dawned on her. For close to 5 years, no promotion. That's how somebody referred her. She went through a session with me, then came for one of our academic training. And we were able to track that the first trauma happened to her in primary 3. Because of being a brilliant student, she was quick to raise her hand when teacher asked any question. So one day in the assembly, the teacher was asking a question and the teacher never completed the question. She don't raise her hand. She asked the answer. Mischievously, the teacher allowed her to speak and messed her up, mocked her in the assembly. And there's a meaning that stuck to her head about speaking in the public. To make matters work, something happened similar in primary 4 again that cemented that. And since then, in public, she wouldn't talk again. Until the meaning that stuck to her head about speaking in the public was changed. And it's possible to change the meaning that you are giving to any situation, no matter how terrible. So if you have identified yours, travel back into that childhood when it happened. Travel back. I need you to see how small you are. Or maybe at 17 or 18 or 25 or 30 or 16 or 9. See that younger version of you when that adversity happened. If it happened serially, when the strongest part of it happened. When it happened to you, I need you to start. And it's okay to shake. It's okay to cry. If you want to cry, it's okay. Just be on your own. Don't get distracted by the next person. I want you to relive what happened, no matter how terrible it was. That's the way your freedom is. Running away from reliving it will keep you in bondage to that memory. Those times that they invalidated you, they verbally abused you, said all manners of things to you, or bullied you, or it could be sexual abuse, or those times that you were rejected. They described the shape of your nose, and you felt like you were an animal, not a human being. I want you to relive what they said to you, what they did to you, what happened to you, those experiences. Don't worry, the emotions that happened then, that were evoked then, will start coming back. It's okay. It's okay. You're about to be delivered from it. And as you are reliving it, I want you to be calling your attention to how you started seeing yourself as a result of what happened. What was the meanings you gave to the way that thing affected you? how you saw yourself. What was the meaning you gave to that situation also? What was the meaning? In fact, what was the meaning you gave to the circumstances surrounding that situation? By meaning, I mean, how did you interpret that situation? And what are your expectations as a result of that situation? How did you start interpreting or seeing yourself as a result? Your self-talk. What are those things you were saying in your head? Some of us is poverty. The way you grew up with poverty, subconsciously, you said to yourself, it's difficult to make money. Some of us, what you said repeatedly to yourself is that everybody is not designed by God to be rich. Because if everybody is rich, who will take care of the poor? Who will work for the rich? Self-limiting beliefs. I want you to start tracking what you said to yourself. You failed in that business and you start telling yourself, maybe God didn't call me to do business. Sometimes we use religion to sugarcoat these self-limiting beliefs. Some of us, because you witnessed your father not being in control of things, and it led to disrespect, and therefore the meaning you gave to father in the house not having 100% control of everybody is disrespect is coming. That's a black or white thinking. There are fathers that didn't have 100% control over everybody, and there's no disrespect. So track the meaning you gave to it. Track what the situation, the adversity made you believe about yourself. Believe about the situation. Believe about everything. Once you can track it, I congratulate you. The next step I want you to do now, I want you to see yourself as you are seated here. Maybe you are 45 years old. Maybe you are 50 or 30 or 25. I want you to see yourself seated, and opposite you, the younger version of yourself, at the age you were when that adversity happened, is seated in front of you. You're about to have a conversation. The younger version of you that experienced all this adversity, that pick up all this hijack meaning, is in front of you. And I want you to hear what the little version of yourself, that's the inner child in you, that suffered that adversity, is saying to you. I want you to hear it. What that little version of yourself is saying to you regarding the adversity. What the adversity made them believe about themselves. Or even believe about adulthood. Or believe about the situation. Or believe about marriage. Or believe about collaboration. Or believe about money. Or believe about receiving correction. Trusting. Being accountable. Then I need you to start having a conversation with that little version of you by saying to him or her, I understand all these meanings you are told. I'm not blaming you for it. Even though these meanings that you gave to this situation then, that you chose to see about yourself then, has affected me as I've grown up into adulthood. But I've come back now to work with you to change that meaning. And we're going to work hand in hand to change that meaning. Because I now have a better knowledge. See yourself saying to the little version of you, I now have a better knowledge of knowing that no situation in life has one meaning. The meaning I gave to it then, or you gave to it, the little version of you that you are talking to, it's not the only meaning that I can give to it. I can change it if it's not helping me. And I need you to work with me. You are saying to the little version of you, I need you to work with me to change this meaning. And I believe with us working together, we change it. Also see yourself conversing, saying to the little version of you, that even though I grew up physically into adulthood, I now realize that I left the little child in me at that spot, at that point when the adversity happened. And I should have grown together with you. I shouldn't have left you behind so that I can be whole. And that's why I have come back to break everything that is holding you back, which is the meaning, the wrong meaning, the toxic meaning, the traumatized meaning that you are giving to the situation that happened to you. You are not condemned to that meaning forever. Situation program you to give those meaning. But there's a better way to see it for the future that is bright that we are going to together. I want you to see the facial appearance or expression on the little version of you seated in front of you. Then I want you to start having conversation. What are the better ways to see the meaning you gave to what happened to you or you experience happening to your father, to your mother? The fact that your father beat your wife always does not mean it's all men that are like that. The fact that you trusted somebody to partner with them in business does not mean business partnership is terrible. You only trusted the wrong person. The fact that they shouted at you, they yelled at you, they hated you at a stage in your life that made you become isolated. You don't talk to anybody, you don't go out, and it's affecting your business, your relationship now because you don't communicate, you don't socialize. It does not mean that even when you say the wrong thing, some people, other people will yell at you. It's just the wrong people that you said it to. I want you to start having that conversation with the little version of you. That what are the better ways we can see this happen? And please don't be deceived. Don't get stuck with believing there is only one meaning that can only be the outcome of this situation. No matter how terrible your situation, there's no one meaning to any situation. Including loss of a child or loss of a loved one. I've worked with a woman that lost a child. Her child struggled to recover from grief for like 1 year plus until we came into contact with each other. I started working with her and I had to help her change the meaning she gave to that child loss. Then she took on another meaning that is stronger, and that's what she's living for now. She's a popular woman. As you are having conversation with the little version of you, see the little version of you agreeing to the change meaning. And nodding in affirmation. I believe. This is the way I want to see it now. Please note the new meaning you are giving so that you can go and write it down later. And as the little version of you is agreeing to all the meaning, you are agreeing together in the meaning. This is the way we want to see that. This is the way we choose to see it now going forward. Then see yourself embracing each other. And as you are hugging each other, the little version of you and yourself, see yourself saying to each other, now that my meaning to this has changed, this is the way I will start behaving now in this kind of situation. You can hear the little version of you thanking you for coming back to help her or him break free from this point that is stuck. The little version of you is like an energy. Some of us are 65 years old, but the energy body in us is still 16. Stuck at that age, 16 years old, when we were traumatized. Such a 65-year-old will be behaving psychologically like a 16-year-old in that area of their life. But as you hug the little version of yourself and you are agreeing and you are deciding and agreeing on the new way of seeing situation that happened and the new way you want to behave towards it. And as you are agreeing to that, still hugging, see your energy mixing, like it's exchanging between the two of you. As if the little version of you is growing also and becoming the same with you, the same shape, size, and height with you. It's like an electric transfer. Some of you will experience like fire movement in your body or vibration or a shake. Some of you will experience it like a cold in your feet, in your fingers. See the two of you becoming one. The inner child in you that was wounded and stuck at that age is not grown up to become your stature. And you're becoming one with change meaning, change approach and attitude and behavior, and ready to take on life together. I want you to start congratulating yourself. I need you to spend 30 seconds while we move my slide to affirmations. Start congratulating yourself. And this is the way I want you to congratulate yourself. This is the way I want you to congratulate. Not by clapping. No. Not by clapping. I want you to, and I know you will struggle, especially in the religious environment. If you ask religious folks to praise God without repeating the same sentence, for 60 seconds, they will do it. But praise themselves without repeating the same sentence, they will struggle. Because they've not learned to affirm themselves, to appreciate themselves, to congratulate themselves. They're killing themselves. And that's why they make one step of progress, but they don't even see that they are making progress. They're thinking of other steps that they have not taken. So I want you to start celebrating and praising yourself for going on this journey, without repeating the same sentence. The first sentence you say to yourself, don't say it again. Look for another one to say. You have 1 minute, 60 seconds now. Praise yourself for going on this journey. To go and pick the inner child in you that was left behind and stuck at that point of adversity. To come back to the future, now that you are back to the future. Start praising yourself without repeating the same sentence. Start praising yourself. Celebrate yourself. Acknowledge yourself. Call yourself all manners of good names that you can think of. If you are the king of Nigeria, how will you? And you know that the key to the next level is in the hands of the king. And you just need to praise him for him to give you the key. To that 1 billionaire, how will you praise the king? You have 30 seconds to go. All right, on that note, get up on your feet, get up on your feet. Get up on your feet, get up on your feet. We're about to take an affirmation together to seal this. About to take an affirmation together to seal this. It's called the Cycle Breakers Healing Affirmation. How do you feel, by the way? Somebody say what? Sorry? Relieved? Healed? Better? Great? Is there anybody that I see in a particular mood that is still struggling to come out of it? And feel free, please, feel free. You are still struggling to come out of the mood. It means there's a meaning, there is a traumatic meaning that you are yet to change. When you get home, practice this again. Some of us, we are like layers of onion. As you remove one layer, there's another layer of trauma that you need to change the meaning you give to it. It's a life journey. And you start seeing your behavior. It's about growing. So take this affirmation together. You can, after we have taken it, you can snap the picture, have it to yourself, and keep saying it to yourself. There is also an affirmation that is even deeper than this. There is a frame. There is a frame. It's outside. It's just for a token amount of money that Winbox has that you can. Limited copies available. So are you ready? Now, this is a remix of a letter Mandela wrote to himself. When Mandela was released from the prison after 27 years, as he was about to walk out, that prison, I'm not giving you fiction. I went there myself, Robben Island in South Africa. It's from here to here, like this, to here. That's what they kept a human being, to lie down. No light, nothing. He has no window. 20-something years. When he came out and when they released him, and he was wrongfully in prison. When he came out, he asked them, as he wanted to step out, he said, hold on. He said, what are you going to pick again? He said, no, I want to write a letter to myself. So they allowed him. He wrote a letter. And when they came out, the prison warder was asking, what's the letter about? Because they wanted to be sure it's not going to cause problem again. He laughed. He said, you think I want to cause problem? I'm not causing any problem. No. He said, I know that you have released me from physical prison. But if I step out of this physical prison without releasing myself from mental prison, then I'm still imprisoned. So he wrote a letter forgiving himself. Then he wrote the letter also contains forgiving the people that imprisoned him and forgiving South Africa. And guess what? There's no president that's matched what Nelson Mandela did under 4 years. Because he yielded. And the letter was remixed into a poem by Marianne Williamson. I took the poem, then mixed it and put it in the context of trauma healing for cycle breaking. And that's what we have. Are you ready? Okay. So, you will say after me as I say it, but say it with passion. Say it with passion. Today I stand up to declare that every unhealthy patterns in my family as a result of unseen pain passed from one generation to another ends with me and will not be passed to my future generations. I now see every scar of pain from the past that I experienced or witnessed as a star that I gained, and every mess in my world as a message to the world. And mental health, marital relationship, and marketplace success is now free from all forms of trauma-induced, self-sabotaging behavioral patterns. I now know that my deepest fear is not that I am inadequate. My deepest fear is that I am powerful beyond measure. It is my light, not my darkness, that frightens me most. I ask myself, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, beautiful, and happy? Actually, who am I not to be? I am a special creation of the Almighty God. The light bulb shines brightest in the darkness. I am a shining light to every darkness in my family and in this world. And when I let my own light shine brightly, I unconsciously give my generation and the next the permission to do the same, as I am liberated to heal from all toxic patterns. My presence automatically liberates and heals others. My presence automatically liberates and heals others. I am a cycle breaker. I am unstoppable. I am a cycle breaker. I am unstoppable. A round of applause for yourself. This is what I want you to do to 5 people. Go and reintroduce yourself to 5 people. You put unstoppable in the middle of your name. So for example, I'm Deji Osasuna. When I introduce myself, I will tell you, I am Deji Unstoppable Osasuna. So go and do that to 5 people and come back to your seat quickly to wrap it up. I'm excited about the deliverance that's happened here tonight. Destinies are shifting because of this, are liberated because of this. Generations are saved because of this. Families are restored because of this. Businesses are restored because of this. Careers are restored. Some people, you will see, because you have healed, the energy you will start emitting will start attracting the job you've been looking for. You will start attracting the spouse you've been waiting for. Your sleep will be different this night. When you heal, you start emitting positive energy to the universe, and that's the energy the universe gives back to you. Watch out for this. So, as a means of announcement, the healing room. There are 2 things I want to quickly announce. We've shown you the link for those that want free session. It's limited. It's only for tonight. But beyond that, there's a program we are launching called the Healing Room on the radio. The Healing Room with Dr. OSAZ. It's a radio talk therapy show. Real life, real issues, real solutions. We know therapy is costly. A lot of people cannot afford. But we can be mutually beneficial to one another. We are hosting a radio program. We'll be paying the radio program. So we need sponsorship. You need therapy even though you can't afford it. If you are willing to come on air anonymously, you don't have to mention your name, but we deploy therapy on air as if we're in the therapy room so that others can learn to create traffic, to attract sponsorship, to run the radio program while we are helping several people to heal. So it's a concept God gave to me, and we want to use it to run and help as many people as possible that cannot afford it. All right? So watch out for the Healing Room program, Healing Room with Dr. OSAZ. Follow us on Instagram at winbox.ng or at dr.osaz, dr.osaz. The details will be announced. However, if you are willing to be part of this as the client for this therapy on this radiotherapy talk show, go and register your name at the registration when we end here, because we're going to do the 4 seasons. A season is 13 episodes for 13 weeks. So we'll be needing 13 people for that. And trust me, the results will be massive and your life will not remain the same on it. So it's mutually beneficial. Secondly, we're not going yet. For the next couple of minutes, I want you to dance to celebrate your victory, your liberation. There's something called dance therapy. I want a shake in your mind, in your brain. I want you to dance as if you mean it. Are we set? Is the set drummer ready? Where's the set drummer? Okay. I will invite upstage. Where are the saxophonists? All right. So together with the saxophone up, unfortunately Jerry Omole got stuck in Abuja, so we were communicating due to flight issue. But his saxophone up is there. But I will be inviting upstage a special person, very anointed, who to lead this freedom dance for 10 minutes. And make sure you dance. Dance is therapy in itself. You have to change the energy level in your mind. Make sure you commit to this. Then we'll wrap it up. While the MC will come and take over after 10 minutes. Join me in welcoming psalmist Fumi Oluyode to lead this. A round of applause for her, please.
I'm sure it's all right for us to shout. Can we just let it out and shout? Some of us were still very stiff. Can you just walk around? Walk around, walk around. You are free. We are all healed. Can you shout? chosen generation. Called for to show His excellence. All I require for life, God has given me. I know who I am. Some of us were not sure. You are a chosen generation. All I
Put your hands together for yourselves. Wow, it's indeed been a story of from scars to stars. We have listened our facilitators, we have listened to the convener. You may please be seated. And we have been inspired since we got in here. I'm very sure that as we live, we are to be better versions of ourselves. We have learned a lot and we have gained clarity on how we can heal from whatever traumatic experiences that we might have gone through. One more time, I want to say thank you very much, Dr. OSAZ, for this very beautiful one. And our prayer is that the good God will continue to bless you in Jesus' name. Can we please put our hands together for him, ladies and gentlemen? Thank you for being a blessing to humanity. Thank you so much. We also want to say a big thank you to our partners, MTN, Flour Mills of Nigeria, Right Foods. Thank you very much for your support. And thank you all for joining us since we started at about 3, thereabout. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to have the appreciation and closing prayer by the local organizing committee chairman, Mrs. Tonia Uyeneye. Please put your hands together for her as she says thank you to everybody.
Thank you so much. Wow. Thank you everyone for this great opportunity. Before I just give those my vote of thanks, I want to quickly tell us about our programs. Please, can I have the next slide? We have our training programs, and we told you if you are part of this program, we have 50% scholarship for some of our programs. That's emotional intelligence, leaders as coach program, and we have this program running throughout the year. We have different various programs that you can partake in. So please, in case you need more information, just ensure that you stop by our information desk, and we tell you when the next program is going to hold, and you are sure to have a good percentage from us. So having said that, I want to, on behalf of Wingbox, Dr. OSAZ, and every HealingFest team, say thank you. We want to express our profound appreciation and gratitude to all our various partners, MTN, Flour Mills, Right Food, and all our special guests that came. Every one of you, actually, you are a special guest in this program, because it's not easy to be seated for 5 hours for a program like this and enjoy it and stay to the end. We say a big thank you to the Maranatha Church, our host, for giving us and partnering with us this day. I want to thank Mommy Agumbi and Pastor Brahim. The support that they gave is enormous. We want to cash in kind. Some people just decided to give one thing or the other to support this program. We say thank you, and we trust God that as you go home, the God that we serve will reward you immensely in the name of Jesus. Thank you so much. And as we close, can we rise on our feet as we just take this closing prayer quickly? We are healed already, so let's have our eyes closed. Father, in Jesus' name, we want to appreciate you for how far you have helped us today. This can be you. Thank you for the good weather. Thank you for everyone you brought safely. Thank you for all those you have healed yourself. We return all the glory back unto you for the testimonies that we are going to hear as a result of this program. Thank you for the healings you have given us. Thank you for the self-discovery you have made us to realize who we are indeed, even in you. We ask, Father, as we go forward, let your mighty hand and presence and the grace to do the needful go with us in the name of Jesus. We pray for everyone, oh God, that are those who are listening online, those who could not come physically, that you will also touch them. Those who watch this program even online after, that your mighty hand will rest upon them. We cover ourselves with the blood of Jesus. We cover all the organizers, all those that have given one way or the other. We pray you will replenish back their pockets 100-fold in the mighty name of Jesus. Thank you because you are faithful. We hope very soon we'll have this kind of program again somewhere, and you will liberate more souls, and more we know that they can be set free from every situation situation that has traumatized them and stuck them in their past. Thank you, eternal King of glory, for your mercies. For in Jesus' mighty name we have prayed. Let's share the grace in fellowship quickly. That the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the sweet fellowship of the Holy Spirit to rest and abide with us now and forevermore. Amen. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow us all the days of our lives, and we shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever and ever. Go, amen. Go and enjoy your freedom. Shalom. Thank you. God bless you.